Chapter 452. As soon as Mo Yen said these words, the elites in the northern part of the tranquil continent were dumbfounded. Yu Yuan could actually make Mo Yen afraid? How was this possible? Lin Zhuyun, who had been captured alive in the crystal bottle and gradually regained her intelligence, also heard their conversation. Because of Tang Can's death and her desperate situation, Lin Zhuyun's face was deathly still. How could her fiancé, who she had always looked down on, be so strong? How is this possible? Even Yen Lu, who had always thought highly of Yu Yuan and was full of confidence in him, shook his head slightly, not daring to believe it. You don't know shit. Mo Yen looked at all the shocked people as if he were looking at idiot. He snorted coldly and thought to himself, if I tell you that Yu Yuan has 8 refinements of his yellow hall acupoints in the baleful demon cauldron, won't you be scared to death? Mo Yen naturally had to treat a guy who had 8 refinements of his yellow hall acupoints with a mysterious scabbard and rode the silver rainbow demonic shuttle into the sea of stardust with caution. Besides, Lu Ying and Kong Banbai were not to be trifled with. If they want to follow, then let them. There's no need for a reason. Mo Yen added, we left to prevent the blood altar from finding us. However, it's strange that the blood altar didn't seem to sense us immediately after the battle and showed no signs of approaching us. As he spoke, he looked at the demonic saber floating behind him. It seemed that the demonic saber could sense the blood altar. I don't know the name of the young man from the Devil Palace who came out of the baleful demon cauldron, and his background in the Devil Palace. Kong Banbai of the Sword Sect gazed in the direction the crystal bottle had flown and said, but that demonic saber should be the so-called Kiara demonic saber. Du Huang was shocked. Kiara demonic saber? Kong Banbai nodded slowly. It should be. Yu Yuan, who was staring at the primal Chaos Kuan, was also slightly surprised by his words. It's actually the Kiara demonic saber. You've heard of it too? Lu Ying asked curiously. Yu Yuan grunted. I've heard of it. In his previous life, he had heard from his old friend in the Devil's Palace that the Garuda demonic blade was an artifact refined by a Mahasvara realm cultivator in the early years of the Devil's Palace. That grand cultivator seemed to have found an extremely heavy broken star outside of Howran. He collected its essence with a great divine ability and fused it into a saber. Thus, this saber was known as the Jialua demonic saber. It was said that the Gala demonic blade was unbelievably heavy. In battle, he would often use the weight of the Jialua demonic saber to be able to destroy everything. Thinking back to the scene of the Gala demonic blade, slashing at the profound dawn orb, and the orb exploding, Yu Yuan felt that what Kong Banbai said was most likely true. The Kiara demonic blade first shattered the pearl, and the heavy force suppressed Lu Bacon until she could not move. Only then did the demonic light of the electric rainbow split her body into 2. The subsequent attacks of the demonic blade also seemed to use its terrifying weight to obtain an overwhelming advantage. The Gala demonic blade was too heavy. Logically speaking, it would be extremely difficult for Mo Yen to control it with his current realm. Coincidentally, the demonic blade was currently under the sea, and the seawater had a buoyant force. Perhaps it could help Mo Yen to barely use the Gala demonic blade. The one who refined the demonic blade, the Mahasvara realm cultivator from the Devil's Palace, seemed to have died in an expedition outside the realm. After that person died, the demonic blade disappeared without a trace. How did it end up in Mo Yan's hands? After Du Huang recovered from his surprise, he said, according to my sect's seniors, the Gala demonic blade was once a Heaven Grade 9 artifact. It has a chance of entering the ranks of divine artifacts after that person breaks into the primordial spirit realm. Kong Banbai nodded. If that person did not die, the Gala demonic blade will definitely become a divine artifact. Who is Mo Yen? Lu Ying was stunned. I'm not sure. Kong Banbai continued. The Gala demonic blade's specialty is its weight. If it's sharp, it can't be said to be. If that demonic blade attacked the deep blue darkness curtain, the heavy power of the demonic blade should be evenly distributed by the deep blue darkness curtain. Mo Yen should know the demonic blade's specialty and not be able to face it head-on. That's why he has to rely on Qi Nandu. That Mo Yen must have a powerful background, Du Huang said. They discussed Mo Yen and the power of the Gala demonic blade, their hearts filled with fear. What they didn't know was that Mo Yen, who was inside the crystal glass bottle not far away, did not dare to act rashly and kill them because of Yu Yuan and the scabbard in Yu Yuan's hand. After Yu Yuan learned that the demonic blade was the Gala demonic blade, he stared at the Chaos Kuan. How much do you know about Mo Yen? Is the demonic blade he has really the Gala demonic blade? I don't know him. I'm not familiar with him. The Chaos Kuan responded with its sole thought. When we break through the deep blue darkness curtain, we will go our own ways and not interfere with each other. Don't worry, I won't reveal that I'm not a demon. I won't let you have the bad reputation of colluding with otherworldly beings. Yu Yuan also sent a mental message. I don't care about that. It seems that something is following us. Lu Ying, who was connected to the falling star eyes, frowned slightly. She gently tapped the transparent stone platform that could reflect many otherworldly beings. The stone platform suddenly brightened. Wisps of strange smoke vaguely appeared on it. The smoke cloud was constantly changing. Sometimes it had a ruthless face, sometimes it had a terrifying expression, and sometimes it was full of despair and helplessness. It was very strange. The smoke cloud didn't have any unusual spirit energy or blood, nor did it have any spirit sense. It seemed to be just a kind of mental emotion. If it weren't for the falling star eyes, with Lu Ying's cultivation base and realm, she probably wouldn't have been able to sense it. The smoke cloud was supposed to be a formless object. It was even harder to detect than the spiritual sense. Fortunately, the falling star eyes were so powerful that they could reflect it. The smoke cloud seemed to be moving slowly, but in fact it was following the falling star eyes quite quickly. What is this? Su Yen came closer and looked at it carefully, but she still couldn't find any clues. Kong Banbai, Du Huang, and a few survivors of the Sword Sect and Ancient Desolate Sect all stared at the constantly changing smoke cloud, puzzled and amazed. Kong Banbai of the Sword Sect was stunned for a while. His body trembled slightly as he suddenly looked at Yu Yuan. His knowledge surpassed many of the people present. In the Sword Sect, he who was used to staying in the ancient scroll pavilion and flipping through the numerous damaged scrolls and books that were left behind had a vague understanding of many strange things. If it weren't for the falling star eyes reflecting the smoke cloud and making it appear directly and constantly changing, he probably wouldn't have thought of it. What is it? Du Huang exclaimed softly. Lu Ying also looked at him. Through the subtle changes in his expression, she knew that this leader of the Sword Sect might have seen something strange. It's fiendish. As Kong Banbai said these words, he looked at Yu Yuan. Whether it's a mortal or a cultivator, their emotions before death will condense into fiendish aura. Fiendish aura is only a kind of mental emotion, not spirit power, flesh aura, or soul awareness. Under normal circumstances, fiendish aura will quickly dissipate and cease to exist. Only in some special places where fiendish aura is affected by other forces can it stay for a long time without dissipating naturally. Fiendish aura that doesn't dissipate for a long time will undergo a miraculous change and condense into a fiendish spirit. Once a fiendish spirit is formed, it will gather all kinds of energy and gradually grow stronger. Most fiendish spirits don't have intelligence or intelligence. They only have instincts. Only experts who are familiar with fiendish aura can find fiendish spirits, collect them, and refine them the day after tomorrow to give them intelligence and make them act according to their will. Fiendish spirits that have intelligence and can understand orders are called fiendish demons. Kong Banbai explained carefully. Fiendish demons. The fiendish demon sect. Su Yen and Du Huang exclaimed softly as they looked at Yu Yuan with astonishment. The Chaos Kuan's soul voice came from Yu Yuan's heart lake with a cold snort. Yu Yuan, on the other hand, was calm. I practice the fiendish demon sect's body refining art. Once I reach the profound shattering realm, I might be able to naturally gather the fiendish aura that just formed. It's not that simple. Kong Banbai shook his head. You didn't use the fiendish demon body refining art in the Meteor Fall Star Eyes, so you didn't automatically attract fiendish aura. Also, you left with the Meteor Fall Star Eyes. Those fiendish spirits that don't have intelligence and can't even be considered fiendish spirits won't follow you. Yu Yuan was speechless. What are you trying to say, Kong Banbai? Is the fiendish demon cauldron with you? Kong Banbai took a deep breath. In this world, the fiendish demon cauldron isn't the only thing that can have such a great effect on fiendish aura. But in the starry ash sea, I can't think of anything other than the fiendish demon cauldron that can attract fiendish aura to such an extent. Upon hearing these words, the Chaos Kuan's beady eyes became terrifyingly bright. Chapter 453. Yu Yuan fell silent. He had yet to comprehend the many mysteries of the fiendish demon cauldron, so he didn't know the method of absorbing fiendish spirits and refining them into fiendish devils. This cauldron had only been temporarily merged into his dantian after he had refined it with the fiendish demon body refinement art. He even had a feeling that everything that had happened inside the cauldron, including his breakthrough in cultivation and the smoothness of his 8 meridians, had been prompted by an external force. Because he didn't have a deep understanding of the fiendish demon cauldron, he had never noticed that fiendish aura had been attracted and followed him all the way here after the bloody battle. If it weren't for the fact that he was under the sea, the blood altar, and the threat of the Chaos Kuan, he would have immediately comprehended the secrets of the cauldron. If that was the case, he would have known the difference between fiendish aura and fiendish spirits, and the detailed method of turning fiendish spirits into fiendish devils. He wouldn't have been left speechless by Kong Banbai's words. He would have been able to make preparations early and prevent such a thing from happening. Fiendish aura, the fiendish demon cauldron. Du Huang of the ancient desolate sect had a thoughtful expression as he carefully observed Yu Yuan. Why do you care so much? Lu Ying was impatient. She snorted and glared coldly at Kong Banbai. Do you think you know a lot? You know the Jialuo demonic saber, fiendish aura, and the difference between fiendish spirits and fiendish devils. Is that so great? Lu Ying, don't think that you can speak to senior brother Kong like this just because you control the Meteor Fall Star Eyes. A young girl from the Sword sect shouted with anger in her almond-shaped eyes. The Star Luna sect. It's just one of the 7 great lesser sections. What are you being so arrogant for? So what if I am? Lu Ying didn't back down. The young girl was about to say something, but Kong Banbai stopped her with a look. All right. Kong Banbai's brow was deeply furrowed. I don't mean anything else. I'm just worried that the flow of fiendish aura will be detected by the Blue Devil's tears. Also, whether or not the fiendish demon cauldron is on Yu Yuan, and whether or not it has been refined actually. Before he could finish his sentence, the Meteor Fall Star Eyes suddenly froze. Lu Ying paled. Suddenly, countless wisps of fiendish aura swirled inside the Meteor Fall Star Eyes. Whoosh! A beam of strange, cold light suddenly flew out of the clear, translucent stone platform in front of her. Before anyone realized the danger, the strange light had already shot straight towards her eyes. Chi! A pocket-sized sword that was as translucent as cold jade pierced into the strange light with incomparable accuracy. The pocket-sized sword flew out of Kong Banbai's chest. The beam of light that was rushing towards Lu Ying was slashed apart by the pocket-sized sword. The broken pieces of light fell on Du Huang's body, causing him to howl in pain. Lu Ying suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Within the blood, starlight flickered. The mouthful of blood landed on the stone platform in front of her and exploded into a bloody mist. As the blood mist that carried starlight flew into the stone altar, it miraculously condensed and morphed into one star map after another, as if it were trying to seize control of the meteor star eyes. "That's it." Su Yen from the Taiyuan sect's expression flickered as she hastily pointed at the strange, motionless fish. She could clearly see that one of the strange fish's small, sparkling white eyes grew brighter and brighter after Kong Banbai mentioned the fiendish demon cauldron. When she looked at the strange fish, she felt cold fear all over her body, and even felt a faint stabbing pain in her eyes. Then, he launched an attack. Chi, 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 chi. Beams of dazzling sword light shot out of the scabbard in Yu Yuan's hand towards the strange, floating fish. It was as if 1,000 rainbows had been shot out at the same time. Ear-piercing howls were suddenly formed by beams of sword light. The small world within the meteor fall star eyes was filled with heaven-shaking, earth-shattering sword light. A boundless, vast, and ancient sword intent suddenly burst out of Yu Yuan's arms. His 2 arms instantly turned crimson. Under the skin of his arms, his bones were like red crystals, and his meridians were flowing like crimson lava. Yu Yuan stared unblinkingly at the primal chaos koan as he attempted to communicate with the soul-refining pool in the forbidden land of the fallen moons, and the sword intent that filled the heavens within the walls of the pool. However, it seemed that the existence of the blue devil's tear and the deep blue curtain prevented him from communicating with the soul-refining pool. The primal chaos koan, which had come from the starry river and been suppressed by the ancient demon race for countless years, had shown kindness and docility since it had made contact with Yu Yuan's soul awareness. Now, one of its eyes was crimson, while the other was white, and the other was crimson, filled with the light of viciousness, brutality, and bloodthirstiness. As a beam of sword light that carried the changing of day and night shot towards the primal chaos koan, a mysterious sword intent instantly enveloped it. Another beam of sword light that seemed to be engraved with a complicated map of the Qian continent also shot towards the primal chaos koan. At the same time, another beam of sword light that carried endless ferocity shot towards the primal chaos koan from the side. 2 more beams of sword light that crossed each other in the shape of a cross also shot towards the primal chaos koan with unparalleled sharpness. Thud! A strange sound came from the primal chaos koan's mouth that was filled with sharp teeth. In the next moment, its fangs seemed to have morphed into divine weapons that intercepted the beams of terrifying sword intent. At the same time, the primal chaos koan in the shape of a strange fish let out a low growl as it rapidly changed its form. In the blink of an eye, under everyone's gazes, the primal chaos koan that had come from the starry river morphed into a shriveled old man in a gray mandarin jacket. The old man's neck was covered in brown fish scales. He had a long beard at the corner of his mouth, and his cheekbones were deeply sunken. His eyes were still crimson, and the other was white. A number of demon totem poles were stuck on his back. The old man raised his hand, which was covered in sharp thorns. As he tried to parry the incoming beams of sword light, the thorns on the back of his hand suddenly exploded. When the sword light disappeared, he let out a soft groan, and his hand was pierced by the thorns and spattered with blood. Whoosh! 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 Dozens of sword lights of different colors poured out of their scabbards and morphed into beams of electric light that shot towards the primal chaos koan that had morphed into the old man. Like a cage, the sword lights confined the primal chaos koan within an inch of space, clashing and tearing at his teeth. All of the survivors from the sword sect were flabbergasted as they watched dozens of streaks of sword light engulf the old man like rainbows and lightning bolts. "Kid, you've been guarding against me this whole time." The primal chaos koan grinned dryly as his other hand, which was covered in sharp thorns, passed through the gaps between the sword lights like a bolt of lightning. After his arm passed through the cage formed by the interweaving sword lights, the gaps seemed to widen, and couldn't close immediately. Puff! The monstrous hand, which instantly extended 10 meters, stabbed a girl from the ancient desolate sect who was close to him like a sharp thorn. The girl's corpse was also pulled back into the cage formed by the interweaving sword lights. With a bang, the late profound Breaker Realm girl from the ancient desolate sect exploded above his head. Her blood poured down and landed on his skin, where it was absorbed like a sponge. It's been a long time, but the blood of you human girls is still as sweet and delicious as ever. The primal chaos Kuan licked his lower lip. Soft, snake-like limbs suddenly flew out of his body and devoured the ancient desolate sect girl's flesh and blood in an extremely short amount of time. 10 seconds later, not even a drop of blood was left of the girl, let alone broken bones. The change happened too quickly, so quickly that no one had expected it. Puff! Another monstrous hand passed through the cage formed by interweaving sword lights and killed the girl from the sword sect who had pointed at Lu Ying, pulling her in front of the primal Chaos Kuan. Her body also exploded, and her blood spilled all over the primal Chaos Kuan's body. The rest of her flesh and blood was instantly devoured. Ah! The surviving ancient desolate sect and sword sect trial takers were scared out of their wit. They ran for their lives away from the primal Chaos Kuan that was temporarily confined by the sword lights. You think you're so smart? Yu Yuan gripped his scabbard and coldly glanced at Kong Banbai with a dark expression. He suddenly felt a little disgusted with this person. Even now, Kong Banbai still didn't know why this senior of the demon race would suddenly attack Lu Ying, Yu Yuan, and everyone else. Give me the fiendish demon cauldron and I'll take you out of here. From now on, we don't owe each other anything. The Chaos Kuan's skinny body, with the death of the two girls, gradually had a demonic luster. He rolled the girl's blood on the corner of his mouth with his tongue, a look of enjoyment on his face. Boy, I recognize you. It was also because of your help that I was able to get out of trouble so quickly. The fiendish demon cauldron. Su Yen from the Taiyuan sect retreated a long distance before suddenly coming to her senses and glaring at Kong Banbai. It's all because of you. I didn't think that it really was because of me. Kong Banbai finally came to his senses and understood what Yu Yuan meant when she said that he was acting smart. What the strange fish wanted was the fiendish demon cauldron. He had seen the fiendish aura from the Meteor Fall Star Eyes stone platform and revealed the fact that Yu Yuan possessed the fiendish demon cauldron. This had caused the strange fish, which had originally wanted to hide for a while, to suddenly go on a killing spree. Without his words, the strange fish might have pretended to be docile and not be in a hurry to release its cruel nature. You're mistaken. I don't have the fiendish demon cauldron. Yu Yuan's expression was indifferent as he forced himself to calm down. He still tightly gripped his scabbard and pointed at the primal Chaos Kuan that had turned into an old man. I only have this scabbard. Also, according to our agreement, I will only let you go if you help me avoid the detection of the blood altar. Kid, you're no fun like this. The primal Chaos Kuan's face was cold as it slowly moved its limbs. Its joints creaked as if it was lubricating its muscles and tendons. I haven't moved for far too long. I'm not used to it. Ever since those ancient demon races suppressed me at the bottom of the sea, I could only watch and watch the so-called laughable trials. Looking at those fresh and delicious little girls swimming past the sunken ships, I'm so hungry that I'm drooling. Finally, I can let go and eat to my heart's content. The teeth that flew out of the primal Chaos Kuan's mouth met the endless sword beams and sputtered bright lightning. How long do you think the sword beams inside that scabbard can trap me? Chapter 454. Demon, suppressed by the demon race at the bottom of the sea? Lu Ying was extremely shocked. Because of the Chaos Kuan's words, she suddenly thought of something else. Kong Banbai was stunned for a few seconds. His body shook violently as he instantly understood. You You are not a demon race at the bottom of the sea? He, Lu Ying, and everyone else in the meteorite eyes had a misunderstanding. They all thought that the Chaos Kuan was a senior of the demon race. The Blue Devil Tear was doing evil. As the guardian of the starry Ash Sea region, shouldn't the demon race help stabilize the situation and calm the Blue Devil Tear down? It was with this thought that they didn't think much when they accepted the Chaos Kuan and watched it enter the meteorite eyes. But now, the Chaos Kuan admitted that he had been suppressed by the ancient demon race at the bottom of the sea for countless years. He watched the trials held time and time again, drooling as he watched girls swim by on sunken ships. If he wasn't a demon, then what was he? A demon race at the bottom of the sea? Inside the sword light cage, the Chaos Kuan shook his head and said in an extremely disdainful tone, "What demon race can be compared to me at the bottom of the sea? Let's not talk about here. What demon race in the Sea of Hauran can stand in front of me without fear?" His words were extremely arrogant and conceited, as if all the demons in the sea were nothing. But it also directly proved that he wasn't a native of Hauran, but came from beyond the heavens. You have with Du Huang of the ancient Baron sect glared angrily at Yu Yuan, as if he was blaming him for bringing such an alien into the meteorite eyes and not saying anything. Yu Yuan didn't even look at him. Lightning flashed in his mind as he quickly thought about how to restrain the Chaos Kuan. The sword light left by the moon's severing grand cultivator in the scabbard was not endless and could not be regenerated. He was well aware of this, so he had always been cautious in the use of sword light. The Chaos Kuan, who had turned into an old man, had unscrupulously revealed its true colors of coldness and ruthlessness. It stood in the narrow cage of intertwined sword auras and used its teeth as divine weapons to resist the power of the sword auras. The prowess of the Chaos Kuan could be seen at a glance. According to He Sun, the Chaos Kuan could only use 30% of its power under the Stardust Sea region, which was far from its peak state. Only by breaking through the seal of the deep blue curtain and breaking through the layers of shackles could he quickly recover. The Chaos Kuan in its strongest state couldn't even do anything to the Blue Devil's Tear. He could even take the Blue Devil's Tear and do whatever he wanted in Hauran. It seems that He Sun of the Devil's Palace is trustworthy. Yu Yuan felt a chill in his heart. He pointed the scabbard at the Chaos Kuan and felt strands of sword light flying out one after another. They constantly intertwined into a sword light cage, temporarily trapping the Chaos Kuan. "It's useless." As the primal Chaos Kuan shook its head, the soft limbs that had flown out of its body to devour the two girls' flesh and blood were quietly pulled back into its body. He was still skinny, but his exposed skin had become plump. It was like a withered tree that had come back to life, like an old tree that had sprouted new shoot. An aura of vigorous life force, as if his flesh and blood were recovering, spread out from his body. "I'm getting stronger. I've been getting stronger since we left that sunken ship." He smiled and said with a calm expression, "The sword energy left in the scabbard you're holding is limited. It will run out sooner or later. When it runs out of sword energy, what can you do to me?" His strange, beady eyes swept over Lu Ying, Su Yen, and the others. Su Yen felt as if she had fallen into an ice cave. She felt cold all over, and goosebumps rose on her skin. The other girls from the Sword Sect and the Ancient Desolate Sect screamed again, and couldn't help but back away. They all felt despair, as if they were being targeted by an evil ghost and about to be devoured. Lu Ying was the only one who spat out another mouthful of blood, her face pale. The blood spilled on the stone platform in front of her. The blood mist transformed into many patterns of the starry sky, trying to remove the power the Chaos Kuan had secretly exerted in the meteor fall star eyes. She knew that the moment the Chaos Kuan had made up its mind, it had secretly infiltrated the meteor fall star eyes with its unusual power and made arrangements. It was also possible that when the Chaos Kuan had seized control of the Meteor Fall Star Eyes from the sea where the baleful demon cauldron was, it had been gradually infiltrating the Meteor Fall Star Eyes with its own power. What Lu Ying was doing now was to use her flesh aura essence to influence the spiritual tool with the method the sect master of the Star Luna sect had given her. The spiritual tool had a soul. She wanted to communicate with its soul and work with it to remove the Chaos Kuan's influence. After all, the Chaos Kuan was still restrained by Yu Yuan's sword light cage. This should be her best chance. She didn't want to miss it. The Chaos Kuan chuckled. You! Boom! Thousands of strands of strange light suddenly dashed around inside the meteorite's star eyes. Bang! 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 The patterns of the starry sky that had just appeared in many areas of the silver meteor were riddled with holes, as if they had been pierced by needles and threads. They were no longer intact. Lu Ying fell to the ground with a startled shriek. Fine wounds appeared on her snow-white neck due to the backlash from the spiritual tool. Looking at the transparent stone platform in front of her, she sensed the helplessness and bitterness of the Meteor Fall Star Eyes' soul inside the stone platform, as well as the helplessness and pain that only she could hear. The soul of the Meteor Fall Star Eyes wanted to get close to her and become one with her to fight the Chaos Kuan. However, the Chaos Kuan was so strong that even the soul of the Star Luna sect's magical tool couldn't break free. Girl, this Meteor Fall Star Eyes of yours are forged from moon meteor. They've been infused with hundreds of types of rare metals from Howren heaven and earth, but they can't change the nature of moonstones. Inside the sword light cage, the withered old man pointed at his sparkling white eye. This eye of mine has the moon's soul essence in it. As he let out a low chuckle, the soul of the Meteor Fall Star Eye's soul inside the stone platform in front of Lu Ying let out heart-wrenching screams. The screams caused Lu Ying's heart to bleed. She covered her ears and cried out in pain. The Meteor Fall Star Eyes were one with her mind, so she could feel the pain of the soul of the Meteor Fall Star Eyes. The injuries of the Meteor Fall Star Eyes would be reflected on her body, causing her body, mind, and soul to suffer a heavy blow. Set up the sword formation. Kong Banbai saw that the situation wasn't good, so he ordered the pocket-sized sword that was connected to his mind to shoot toward the Chaos Kuan. There were only 5 survivors of the sword sect left, and they were all in the breaking profound realm or the subtle realm. Following Kong Banbai's order, the 5 survivors of the sword sect all landed on either side of him with determined expressions on their faces. They either summoned their spiritual swords from their spiritual energy acupoints or their middle dantian's qi and blood. A spiritual sword that could be nurtured in the Naiwen acupoint definitely contained the secrets of the soul, and its owner had to be at least in the subtle realm. Only in the subtle realm and with the Naiwen acupoint open could one nurture a sword. Whoosh! A spiritual sword as thin as a needle shot out from the forehead of an old middle-stage, subtle realm cultivator like a yellow bolt of lightning. This person was older than Kong Banbai, and his cultivation wasn't weak either. Unfortunately, he looked to be in his 40s or 50s and didn't have much potential. When his spiritual sword flew out, the Meteor Fall Star Eyes suddenly roared with the power of wind and thunder. It wasn't rare for a sword intent to contain the essence of lightning. Carrying lightning and thunder was also an exquisite sword art, so it wasn't particularly shocking. What was truly shocking was that when the spiritual sword in his Naiwen acupoint stabbed toward the Chaos Kuan, it suddenly changed. The wisp of yellow sword light that was attacking the Chaos Kuan suddenly flew back from the sword light. As the wisp of sword light fused into the spiritual sword that was as fine as a needle, the power of the spiritual sword that looked like a yellow lightning bolt seemed to increase by dozens of times in a split second. It was as if the spiritual sword had a soul. Whoosh! The spiritual sword as thin as a needle broke through the sword light cage and stabbed toward the Chaos Kuan's waist. Clusters of lightning exploded, and beams of yellow electric light pierced towards the chaos Kuan like sharp blades, creating a terrifying bloody hole in the old man's abdomen. Inside the bloody hole, the thick and long veins of the chaos Kuan twisted like ferocious serpents and fought against the beams of yellow sword light. The chaos Kuan, which had been calm a moment ago, suddenly cried out in pain, and its expression changed dramatically. Junior Martial Brother Liu? Kong Banbai, who had called out to set up the sword formation, looked at the cultivator who was older than him, but had joined the sect late, with a face full of shock. What's going on? Du Huang was shocked. I don't know either. The somewhat cautious and honest cultivator shook his head in confusion when he saw the spiritual sword unleash its power, causing the sword formation he wanted to form to be unable to cooperate with it. The sword intent contained in that sword light is perfectly compatible with his sword, Yu Yuan said in pleasant surprise. That sword and the sword art he cultivates belong to an old man of the sword sect who passed away a long time ago. Kong Banbai hesitated for a moment and looked at Yu Yuan's scabbard again. He was shocked. The sword intent and sword light in your scabbard belong to an ancestor of our sword sect? ***. Well, if you have a recommendation vote, please vote for this old traitor. Chapter 455. Yu Yuan had long since deduced that the moon-severing realm cultivator was most likely from the sword sect. The sword soul branded in Yu Yuan's arm bone was filled with boundless, mighty, and ancient sword intent. It should be the moon-severing realm cultivator's own incantation of sword Tao, where his great Tao lay. However, the sword light and sword intent in the scabbard that had been pulled out of the dark realm Azura's head in the abandoned land probably hadn't all been comprehended by the moon-severing realm cultivator. It was very likely that the moon-severing realm cultivator had smelled the sword intent incantations left behind by his fellow sect members when he was soaring in the starry river. Then, he had collected them and put them into the scabbard. Perhaps he had done this so that he could return those sword intents to the sword sect when he returned to his sect in the future. It was also so that the sword Tao that he had comprehended in his lifetime wouldn't be lost forever in the cold, starry river. If a sword or a sword incantation didn't contain sword intent or hadn't comprehended the true mysteries of the sword incantation, it would be impossible for it to display its full power. If a person didn't understand the intricacies of the sword incantation or sword intent, if they knew spiritual techniques and didn't infuse them with spiritual power, they would only have a superficial appearance. Once a sword intent was infused into a sword or a sword incantation, it would instantly be infused with a soul. For example, what was happening right now? The slender spiritual sword that the middle-aged sword sect cultivator had summoned from his Niwen acupoint instantly became dozens of times more powerful after infusing it with a wisp of brilliant yellow sword intent. At the old man's waist, a ball of lightning the size of a thumb burst out with a power that could severely injure 7th or 8th grade demons. The yellow lightning pierced towards his meridians, causing the primal chaos Kuan to let out a low hiss. His two hands, which were covered in sharp thorns, grabbed towards the bloody hole in his waist. Blood was still dripping from his wounds because of the lightning. Yu Yuan. Kong Banbai called out in a low voice to attract Yu Yuan's attention. When he saw Yu Yuan looking at him, he immediately said, "Where did you get that scabbard? Why was the sword intent hidden in the scabbard able to merge with a sword from my sect? Yu Yuan, did this scabbard come from my sect?" The expressions of the other trial-takers from the sword sect shook greatly upon hearing his words. Could Yu Yuan be a disciple of the sword sect that was scattered outside? A certain sword sect cultivator who was traveling around the Qian continent passed by the empire where Yu Yuan lived and took a fancy to Yu Yuan. He taught Yu Yuan the sword sect's sword Tao incantation and even gave Yu Yuan an artifact to protect himself. If that was the case, why did Yu Yuan cultivate the fiend body refining art and obtain the approval of the fiend demon cauldron? We'll talk about it later. Being questioned by him, Yu Yuan held the scabbard with both hands and felt strands of refined spiritual energy continuously pouring into it from the haunting acupoint in his lower dantian. His golden hall microcosm, which was originally filled with spiritual power, was rapidly draining away. Surprisingly, not a single strand of qi and blood leaked out of the profound gate of qi and blood in his middle dantian. The extreme intelligent soul-forging technique that he had painstakingly cultivated, and because of his powerful heavenly soul, his mind and thoughts were also not affected by the scabbard. It was just that his spiritual power was being consumed so quickly that he was worried that it would run out soon. He didn't have the energy to explain, nor did he want to tell Kong Banbai and the other trial takers about the scabbard and the moon-severing realm cultivators. Die. Surrounded by the cage of sword light and pierced through his abdomen by the slender spiritual sword, the skinny old man grimaced as he crossed his arms and pressed them against his abdomen. Slurp. Ancient demonic characters suddenly appeared on the totem poles that had been pierced into his back. Strange scenes of dragons and snakes slithering, phoenixes soaring through the heavens, cheelants breathing fire, and elephants roaring simultaneously flashed across his mind. Vast demonic energy surged within the small cage, giving rise to loud rumbles, as if heaven and earth were about to collapse and explode. Even the net of sword light that had been weaving around the primal chaos koan gave rise to sizzling sounds due to the appearance of the strange phenomenon. The cage was forcibly expanded. At this moment, the primal chaos koan's hands seemed to be channeling the power of the totem poles, causing the seawater in the entire starry ash sea to stop flowing. Time and space also seemed to be inexplicably silent. His hands slowly pressed towards the wisps of yellow lightning that were constantly flying around, as well as the spiritual sword that was as thin as a needle and perfectly matched with his sword intent. The totem poles behind the primal chaos koan trembled violently, and the howls of demonic beasts shook the highest heavens. The fish scales on the primal chaos koan's neck suddenly burst forth with dazzling crimson and white light, as if he were possessed by a god. Crunch! The spiritual sword that the middle-aged cultivator from the sword sect was holding in the bloody hole in his abdomen that his hands were pressing against was instantly shattered. Then, the primal chaos koan's hands that had pierced the bloody hole in his abdomen mercilessly pinched and crushed the short sword into pieces. At this moment, the primal chaos koan's expression was ferocious as he stared coldly at the middle-aged cultivator from the sword sect, who didn't know what to do. With a gruesome smile, he said, "How dare an ant like you resist me?" The sword sect cultivator's forehead split open, and his spiritual acupoints instantly collapsed and shattered. His entire face was badly mangled, and his facial features were twisted into a mess. Junior Marshal Brother Liu. Senior Marshal Brother. Kong Banbai and the other survivors of the sword sect all screamed when they saw him like this. The sword sect cultivator crashed to the ground. Whether it was his heaven, earth, and human souls or his flesh and blood, all of them seemed to have fallen apart. He no longer had any signs of life. He had died from the backlash caused by the explosion of the spiritual sword. Some of the sword cultivators from the sword sect only cultivated one sword their entire life. Their upper, middle, and lower dantians, spiritual power, blood, and soul were all used to nurture the sword. Because of their focus, sword cultivators had the most terrifying killing power. However, because of the special characteristics of their cultivation, once the sword that they cultivated their entire lives was destroyed, they would also be severely injured, or even die. Sword cultivators who had cultivated to the Yin soul, Yang soul, and nascent soul would have a higher chance of survival as their cultivation increased. However, that sword sect cultivator was only in the subtle realm, and had yet to become a Yin soul. Furthermore, because of the return of a strand of sword intent, the power of his sword had skyrocketed, and the backlash had naturally increased as well. His cultivation-level body and 3 souls couldn't withstand the backlash of the sword at all. In an instant, he had died on the spot, and all of his vitality had been cut off. Whoosh! The skinny old man who had crushed the sword had a sinister expression on his face. He was no longer standing straight. Instead, he sat down in a cross-legged position like a human cultivator, forcefully borrowing the power of the ancient demon race totem pole to shatter the spiritual sword that contained sword intent seemed to be a great burden on him. The wound on his waist that had been torn open and pierced through also required him to spend some time to heal quickly. When he sat down, the bloody hole that was still exposed had his tendons and meridians pulling on themselves like serpents, miraculously adjusting themselves. Pieces of wriggling flesh could even be seen piling up and growing. The large torn wound seemed to be quickly stitched up by invisible needles and threads. This is too abnormal. His recovery speed is comparable to that of a grade 9 great demon. Du Huang of the ancient Baron sect ordered all of the sect's survivors to gather behind him as he said to Yu Yuan, "We have to think of another way. He should be able to recover to his original state soon. If we can't find a new way, none of us will be able to escape. Why don't you give him that fiendish demon cauldron?" An ancient Baron sect girl whispered timidly. "Can you all shut up?" Su Yan's pretty face was filled with hatred and resentment. A sense of helplessness rose in her heart. She felt that she was too weak at this moment and couldn't be of any help. "Shut up!" Du Huang also glared at the girl and snorted, saying, "That old man isn't one of us. He has been suppressed by the ancient demon race for so many years. Everyone saw his cruel actions just now. Such a cold-blooded creature. Even if we give it to the fiendish demon cauldron, it won't stop. I'm afraid that none of us, including those from the Devil's Palace, will be able to escape." The girl's face was pale, and her big eyes were filled with sadness. The Blue Devil's Tear, and this otherworldly monster. Just how many secrets are hidden in the Stardust Sea region between the Devil's Palace and the Goblin Temple? In the past, every trial was fine. It has never been like this before. Because the Meteor Fall Star I had been filled with the Primal Chaos Kuan's special ability, the artifact's soul had been severely damaged. Luing had also been greatly injured and could do nothing. After the middle-aged cultivator's spirit sword had been destroyed, the others didn't dare to act rashly. Du Huang wanted to help, but he didn't even have a chance to enter the sword light cage. He didn't know what to do. Holding the scabbard with both hands, Yu Yuan pointed at the Primal Chaos Kuan and felt the sword light fading away. He was secretly anxious and racked his brains for a solution. Just as he was at his wit's end, the fiendish demon cauldron in his flesh and blood Dantian moved again. He Sun, the guardian of the Devil's Palace in the Stardust Sea region, once again transmitted his soul voice. "Yu Yuan, you're still alive? You should have died after seeing the Primal Chaos Kuan, right? The fiendish demon cauldron was taken by force, wasn't it? Are you Yu Yuan or the Primal Chaos Kuan?" He Sun asked tentatively. His soul voice was extremely weak and intermittent. It was as if he was afraid that the master of the fiendish demon cauldron was already the Primal Chaos Kuan. He was afraid that the Primal Chaos Kuan's soul consciousness would use the fiendish demon cauldron to determine his location based on his soul voice and follow the clues to find him. "I'm still alive. P.S. There will be 3 chapters today. I've been working hard recently. If you have a recommendation ticket, please give me 1 or 2. If you haven't hidden it in your bookshelf, please add it to your collection. This old trader thanks you in advance." Chapter 456. The crystal glass bottle flew across the bottom of the sea. The young man from Devil's Palace, Missouri Yen, stroked the jagged and heavy Garuda demonic blade, as if caressing the skin of his beloved woman. His eyes were full of doting. Rip! Tiny bloody lights flew out of his fingertips like lightning and entered the blade of the demonic blade. This demonic blade, famous in the history of Devil's Palace, swallowed his bloody light. The artifact's soul inside seemed to be cheering in joy. Those who cultivated the Tao or had secret soul arts could hear the soul movement inside the demonic blade as long as they were close to him. When Mo Yan's hand touched the blade, many marvelous demon patterns appeared for a brief moment. Suddenly, his eyelashes moved slightly. Gradually, all of the light in his eyes vanished, giving people a strange feeling of deathly stillness, as if even his soul had disappeared. His soul seemed to have entered the depths of the demonic blade. Extremely obvious soul fluctuations came from the Garuda demonic blade. Mo Yan seemed to have disappeared. Instead, the demonic blade gradually lit up and attracted everyone's attention. The strange change only lasted for a short while. A moment later, Mo Yan shook as if he had woken up from a deep nightmare. His forehead was actually sweating. His entire expression and bearing had an extremely obvious change. Mo Yan, who had been somewhat sloppy and smiling, had a cold and serious expression on his face. Change direction with the crystal glass bottle. Turn around and find the meteorite star eyes. He looked at Chi Nandu and gave the order in an unquestionable tone. Ah, why? Chi Nanda held the bone-devouring shuttle in one hand and withdrew his mind from it. He pointed forward with the shuttle made of white bones. We're about to arrive at the other border. Mo Yan, with the power of the bone-devouring shuttle and the crystal glass bottle, I am very confident that we can break through that deep blue curtain. The others were also puzzled. They did not understand why Mo Yan would give such an order at such a critical moment. I repeat, go back and look for the meteorite eyes. Mo Yan said firmly. From the moment he stepped out of the fiendish demon cauldron and appeared in front of everyone, he had never been so stern and powerful as he was now. Fei Yi, who was also from the Devil's Palace, saw Qin Lai's expression and secretly changed. It won't cause unnecessary trouble, right? Qi Nandu, Ho Tianzhao, and Lin Yu were not easy to deal with. His decisions were always in line with everyone's interests. That was why they were willing to follow his orders. However, if my judgment is wrong and I want to lead them to their deaths, they might not be obedient. Fei Yi thought. He knew what methods Qi Nandu, Ho Tianzhao, and the others used when they traveled the tranquil continent. Fei Yi was really worried that those people didn't know Mo Yan's true background and wouldn't give face to the Devil's Palace. Didn't you just say that we might not be able to take advantage of those guys from Meteor Fall Star Eyes? Ho Tianzhao laughed and said, You also said that Yu Yuan is not easy to deal with. You don't even have the confidence to do so. What? You suddenly changed your mind and want to go back and kill them all? I think it's better not to complicate things. Qi Yin of the Juling School expressed her thoughts. Mo Yan glanced at them and said, Not to go back and fight them, but to fight side by side with them. What? Qi Nandu was shocked. Could it be that the blood altar has already found them? If that's the case, we should leave quickly and rush out of the deep blue curtain. It's not the blood altar, it's that strange fish following Yu Yuan. It's called the Chaos Kuan and came from the outer realms, Mo Yan said. A foreign creature. That strange fish isn't a senior of the demon race? It came from the outer realms? I should have guessed it. Qi Yin and Lin Yu suddenly came to a realization as they thought of the totem poles. The Chaos Kuan is ferocious and wants to kill everyone on the Meteor Eye. I don't care about the lives of those people, but if it obtains the fiendish demon cauldron, it will be extremely troublesome. Mo Yan took a deep breath. Yu Yuan is up there. He brought out the fiendish demon cauldron. His fiendish demon cauldron will give the Chaos Kuan great power. Lin Yu was slightly shocked. He refined the fiendish demon cauldron? Mo Yan nodded. Then what about us? Qi Nanda hesitated. If the Chaos Kuan gets the fiendish demon cauldron, we may not be able to leave alive even if we rush out of the deep blue curtain. Mo Yan looked at him coldly and said, I've communicated with He Sun. He needs us to turn back and work with Yu Yuan to deal with the Chaos Kun. We can't allow the Chaos Kun to rush out of the deep blue curtain. Okay. Hearing that he mentioned Heisun, Chi Nandu no longer hesitated and immediately changed the direction of the crystal bottle. Lord Heisun, what are Lord Heisun's instructions? What's the situation on the sea? Do the elders who let us here know about our situation? Are they still there? Hearing Mo Yen mention Heisun, many people present were pleasantly surprised and asked one after another. Mo Yen frowned and said, "Almost everyone on the sea is dead." Whoosh, whoosh whoosh. Invisible fiendish energy flew through the sea. The fiendish energy finally found its way over because the meteor fall star eyes had stopped. The meteor fall star eyes condensed a shield of star energy. Starlight flowed and blocked the fiendish energy from entering. When it hit the shield of star energy, the fiendish energy, which was originally invisible to everyone, was gradually noticed by everyone because of the splashing starlight. Yu Yuan gripped the scabbard tightly with both hands and pointed it at the Chaos Kun. Occasionally, a sword beam would fly out from the scabbard and fill the gap caused by the sword beam cage's consumption, continuing to bind and restrain the Chaos Kun. The Chaos Kun, which had turned into a withered old man, sat upright on the ground and healed the heavy injuries on its waist and abdomen. It lowered its head and no longer looked at everyone as it focused on stabilizing its injuries. Kong Banbai, Du Huang, and the others wanted to help, but they didn't know what to do and could only worry. No, something's not right. Because the meteor fall star eyes had been seized by the Chaos Kun and injected with an external force, Lu Ying, who had lost control of it, suddenly became more spirited. She raised her head and looked at the shield of light condensed by the meteor fall star eyes. Pfft! The originally invisible fiendish energy took the shape of a fist and slammed into the shield of star energy. The shield of light overflowed with starlight, and a portion of the strange energy injected by the Chaos Kun was suddenly offset. Only Lu Ying could sense that the wailing of the meteor fall star eye's soul, which could be heard by her 3 souls, had come to an abrupt end. Lu Ying's eyes lit up. No, it's not fiendish energy. It's actually not fiendish energy. The sword sex Kong Banbai was stunned. Because of Lu Ying's words, he also saw something strange. He pointed at the fist-shaped cluster of fiendish energy and said, "It seems to be a tormented soul that has already condensed into form?" The fist-sized thing, which he called a tormented soul, slammed into the shield of star energy a few times. Not only did it not dissipate, but it actually grew bigger and gradually took shape. Whoosh! Whoosh whoosh! At the same time, other fiendish energy naturally gathered towards it and merged with it. Its shape constantly changed, and it grew bigger and bigger. In just a moment, it had swallowed all of the fiendish energy that had flown towards it due to the existence of the fiendish demon cauldron, and it grew to the size of a stone plate. The fiendish energy produced by the trial takers killed by Mo Yen and the others couldn't have condensed into a tormented soul in such a short time. Even if there was such a possibility, it couldn't be this strong. Kong Banbai's expression was strange. He thought for a moment and said, "There's only one possibility. That tormented soul has always existed at the bottom of the Stardust Sea. Because of the appearance of the fiendish demon cauldron, it sensed it and came over from another direction, attracted and summoned by the cauldron." Bang! Bang bang! The ever-changing and growing tormented soul slammed heavily into the shield of light of the meteor fall star eyes. As specks of starlight fell, the flowing energy that the Chaos Kun had poured into the shield miraculously disappeared. The soul of the artifact no longer wailed. Instead, it waited expectantly for the tormented soul to launch an even fiercer attack. Lu Ying suddenly had an epiphany and said, "That thing is controlling the meteor fall star eyes to block this tormented soul." That damned old man probably knew that a tormented soul like this would appear after the appearance of the fiendish demon cauldron. That's why he came over and poured into Yu Yuan's body. Whoosh! Accompanied by black demonic light, the collapsed cauldron that everyone had seen at the bottom of the island suddenly flew out of Yu Yuan's chest. The fiendish demon cauldron! It really is the fiendish demon cauldron. You guessed right. Yu Yuan actually refined the fiendish demon cauldron and merged it with his middle dantian. Seeing the fiendish demon cauldron, which had shrunk to the size of a watermelon, quietly floating in front of Yu Yuan's chest, everyone exclaimed in shock. I can control the meteor fall star eyes again. Lu Ying, who had vomited several mouthfuls of blood and still hadn't been able to get rid of the Chaos Koan's power, cried out in joy. She and the Chaos Koan's soul were both suffering. Due to the repeated attacks of the unknown tormented soul, the strange power that the Chaos Koan had used to restrain the meteor fall star eyes was exhausted. After hearing Lu Ying's exclamation, the Chaos Koan, who had been restrained by the sword light cage and severely wounded in the abdomen, suddenly opened its eyes. One of its eyes was crimson and the other was white. It stared coldly at Yu Yuan and said, "Do you really think it's a good idea to let it in? Do you know what it is, kid? If it enters the fiendish demon cauldron, will it still be yours? You'd better think this through." The Chaos Koan, who had been healing its injuries with all its might, sensed the arrival of it and warned Yu Yuan as the power it had poured into the meteor fall star eyes faded away. As soon as the words came out, Lu Ying, who had regained control of the meteor fall star eyes and established a mental connection with the Chaos Koan's soul, was instantly stunned. What? The meteor fall star eyes shone brightly as the starstones hidden in the core lit up one by one, filling the Chaos Koan with star energy. Lu Ying didn't know what to do. Wait! Kong Banbai shouted, telling Lu Ying, who had planned to open the meteor fall star eyes with the Chaos Koan's soul and let the tormented soul in, to not do anything rash. Lu Ying hurriedly communicated with the Chaos Koan's soul and stabilized the meteor fall star eyes, making the light shield even thicker. In this way, she could prevent the tormented soul from easily breaking through and entering the Chaos Koan's body. After finally regaining control of the meteor fall star eyes, she did the same thing as before. Yu Yuan, can that thing come in here? She looked at Yu Yuan with a pitiful expression, feeling that what had happened recently was far beyond her expectations. She even felt that her IQ wasn't high enough for her to handle such a situation. Shouldn't the tormented soul, that had appeared out of nowhere, help Yu Yuan and the fiendish demon cauldron deal with the foreign entity? Chapter 457. Yu Yuan's face was as dark as still water. He didn't give an immediate answer. Originally, he had hoped that the appearance of the tormented soul and the fiend demon cauldron would be able to suppress the primal Chaos Koan after it flew out of the profound blood gate. However, because of the primal Chaos Koan's words, he suddenly began to ponder. Then, what was that tormented soul all about? Even though he had his back to them and pointed the scabbard at the primal Chaos Koan, he still heard the conversation between Kong Banbai, Du Huang and Lu Ying clearly. The deaths of Liu Bacon and the others could only form fiendish aura, not tormented souls. Even if a tormented soul was formed, it couldn't have grown to such a level in such a short time. Unless the tormented soul had been at the bottom of the Stardust Sea for a long time and smelled the fiend demon cauldron's movement and followed it all the way here. Taking advantage of the situation, it quietly gathered and refined the fiendish aura that had just formed into its current form. If there was a tormented soul, and the primal Chaos Koan knew of its origin, then could his breakthrough from the Golden Hall realm to the Shattering realm and the smoothness of his 8 meridians have something to do with this tormented soul? Was there a deeper connection between the tormented soul and the fiend demon cauldron? Just now, the fiend demon cauldron had floated out of his acupoint, It didn't seem to have been summoned by his mind or given any orders or decrees. If that was the case, the tormented soul that had suddenly appeared might actually be in danger. He had secretly communicated with He Sun. The information he had received was that He Sun had learned of Mo Yan's location through the Kiara demonic saber and told Mo Yan about the primal Chaos Kuan's brutality with the secret arts of the Devil's Palace. He Sun had told him that he would ask Mo Yan to come and help him suppress the primal Chaos Kuan. He had said that the Kiara demonic saber that Mo Yan wielded could make the primal Chaos Kuan suffer greatly if it unleashed its full power. He Sun didn't say that an unknown, tormented spirit would come and crash into the meteor star eye, dispersing the power that the Chaos Kuan had imbued into the eye one by one. Now, the tormented soul was still colliding with the falling star eyes, while Luing was painstakingly defending herself. Yu Yuan suddenly felt a sense of helplessness. He was being attacked from both sides and didn't know which side he should lean towards. Should he let the evil spirit in and combine with the evil demon cauldron before attacking the Chaos Kuan? Or should he listen to the Chaos Kuan and wait and see? His head was also in a mess, and he didn't know what to do in a short period of time. Wait! He took a deep breath and instantly cut off the distracting thoughts in his mind. He forced himself to calm down and gave Lu Ying an order first. Then he looked at the Chaos Kuan and shouted, "You know it? Release the sword cage and let me out. Give me the cauldron." The Chaos Kuan, who had turned into a skinny old man, laughed sinisterly and stretched out his hand towards Yu Yuan. "This cauldron is in my hands. I promise to spare your lives. The other group of people in that crystal glass bottle will be my new target. You can live. I can make the most vicious oath in exchange for your trust. Tell me first, what is it?" Yu Yuan shouted. "Give me the cauldron before it enters the cauldron, and you'll be fine." The Chaos Kuan snorted coldly. "If it enters the cauldron, I may be able to escape, but you will all die here." Yu Yuan said, "I'll repeat myself. What is it?" The Chaos Kuan just laughed softly and didn't answer. Inside the falling star eyes, many gazes fell on him and the Chaos Kuan. Bang! Bang bang! The tormented soul outside repeatedly collided with the falling star eyes with an even more terrifying power. Lu Ying couldn't stay calm. She felt the same as Yu Yuan when she sensed the star stones exploding and the loss of star energy. The sword cage Yu Yuan released could only temporarily restrain the Chaos Kuan and prevent it from escaping. The star energy condensed from the star stones inside the falling star eyes could only restrain the tormented soul for a while. Moreover, the tormented soul was still growing stronger. "Yu Yuan, I think the appearance of the fiendish demon cauldron has made it stronger." Kong Banbai hesitated for a moment and said, "I think you should put the fiendish demon cauldron away first." The tormented soul's aura didn't continue to grow when the cauldron wasn't here. The moment he said this, Yu Yuan's mind shook slightly and he was about to do as he said. But before he could do so, the tormented soul, that was repeatedly colliding with the fiendish demon cauldron, suddenly stopped. Lu Ying was confused. "What's going on?" It's gone," Du Huang of the Ancient Barons sect exclaimed as he pointed at the tormented soul that was constantly changing and without a final form. Seeing it suddenly disappear into the distance while wrapped in water vapor. "The crystal glass bottle. The crystal glass bottle is back." Lu Ying let out an. The moment the tormented soul left, she communicated with the artifact's soul of the meteor fall star eyes and knew what had happened. The tormented soul was running towards the crystal glass bottle. Interesting. This is getting more and more interesting. Inside the sword light cage, the Chaos Kuan that had turned into a withered old man lowered its head and chuckled coldly. Suddenly, it became calm. Yu Yuan abruptly looked into the distance. The crystal glass bottle that carried Mo Yan, Ho Tianzhao, Lin Yu, and the other prodigies of the tranquil continent was returning at an extremely fast speed. Glug glug. The tormented soul, that was wrapped in a lot of water vapor, seemed to be made of seawater. It was still changing its form as it flew towards the crystal glass bottle. Gradually, the tormented soul seemed to have condensed into an aqua-blue sword. There's something there. Chi Nandu of the Heavenly Evil sect secretly channeled a secret art. His eyes suddenly lit up. The entire crystal glass bottle looked as if it was illuminated by thousands of lights under the sea. It instantly became extremely dazzling. Fizz fizz! The aqua-blue sword that the tormented soul had condensed into was as fast as lightning under the sea. It was also absorbing the sea's spirit energy and piercing towards the crystal glass bottle with a suffocating pressure. Mo Yan's face suddenly turned pale. He screamed, "Use the bone-devouring shuttle!" Chi Nandu didn't even think. The bone-devouring shuttle that he had been holding in his hand immediately rushed out of the crystal glass bottle. Dragging a white, evil stream of light, it charged towards the aqua-blue sword that the tormented soul had condensed into. Inside the crystal glass bottle, many people held their breaths and stared at the two objects that were colliding with each other. An indescribably magnificent light exploded from the aqua-blue sword that the bone-devouring shuttle and the tormented soul had transformed into. At the bottom of the Stardust Sea, the earth suddenly exploded. In an instant, the bone-devouring shuttle split into almost 100 white bone-short spears that were arranged into a great formation of bones. They let out strange howls that made one's soul shudder and surrounded the tormented soul. The tormented soul was no longer condensed into a sword. On the seabed that was full of sand, it vaguely condensed into an aqua-blue shadow. Almost 100 white bone-short spears were pointing at it from all directions. The tormented soul of the aqua-blue shadow was still changing. For a moment it was an enchanting woman. For a moment it was in the form of a burly man. For a moment it was in the form of a giant python. For a moment it was in the form of a ferocious great demon. Extraterrestrial devils are good at changing. The devil souls of extraterrestrial devils can carry out endless changes. Kong Banbai of the Sword sect looked at the tormented soul at the bottom of the sea and sighed with a bitter expression. He said, "I don't know how this tormented soul was formed after the death of an extraterrestrial devil. I've heard of tormented souls formed by the deaths of humans and great demons, but I've never heard of an extraterrestrial devil turning into a tormented soul." "Extraterrestrial devil!" Du Huang screamed. Su Yen whispered, "Extraterrestrial devil! What the hell is that?" Inside the crystal glass bottle, Ho Tianzhao of the Red Devil School looked at the constantly changing, tormented soul and scratched his head. This thing can actually withstand a blow from the bone-devouring shuttle. It doesn't look simple at all. Mo Yin said, "Extraterrestrial devil." "Extraterrestrial devil?" Yen Lu jumped up. "How can there be an extraterrestrial devil under the sea of the starry ash sea? Shouldn't every extraterrestrial devil that dares to step into Howren be eradicated? It's dead too." When Mo Yin answered, he looked at the meteor eyes across the sea. To be exact, he was looking at Yu Yuan. It died under the sea of the starry ash sea because of the existence of the fiend demon cauldron. It was unwilling to accept its death, and its mind power didn't fade away. In the end, it turned into a unique tormented soul. The tormented soul, that evolved from the death of an extraterrestrial devil, was too rare. The Devil's Palace and the Goblin Temple didn't kill it and deliberately imprisoned it separately from the Fiend Demon Cauldron. After the Fiend Demon Cauldron successfully broke out of the ground, the tormented soul also broke free from the seal and walked out. Mo Yen explained. Chapter 458. It was a miracle that an heavenly demon could become an evil spirit. Not to mention this life, Yu Yuan had never heard of such a thing in his previous life. If it weren't for Kong Banbai, who had observed the endless changes and associated it with an heavenly demon, as well as Mo Yen, who was far away in the crystal bottle, and the words of the others, he wouldn't have thought of this. An heavenly demon that had died on an island in the Stardust Sea, and its remaining spirit and emotions were immortal because of the fiendish demon cauldron. After time, it slowly grew stronger and gathered other fiendish auras, turning into an evil spirit that could act according to its instincts. This evil spirit was born with the birth of the fiendish demon cauldron. After breaking free from the suppression of the Devil's Palace and the Goblin Temple, it immediately rushed to the fiendish demon cauldron. As it approached the fiendish demon cauldron, it grew stronger and stronger. It could actually take a hit from the bone-devouring shuttle without showing any signs of defeat. With this thought, Yu Yuan focused his mind and temporarily ignored the Chaos Kuan. He turned his gaze and attention to the fiendish demon cauldron floating in his chest. He activated the fiendish body refining art and sensed the wisps of refined blood aura inside the profound door of qi and blood condensing into crimson rays of light. The rays of light wrapped around the fiendish demon cauldron like hemp ropes and pulled it back. It was pulled back into the profound door of qi and blood. The fiendish demon cauldron swayed in his chest and became extremely heavy and difficult to control. The large cauldron didn't follow his thoughts and blood and obediently entered his acupoints. Instead, it resisted him in the air and struggled, unwilling to enter. Hee. The Chaos Kuan in the sword-light cage grinned coldly again. He raised his lowered head, his face full of ridicule and mockery. Kid, what do you know? Do you know why it wasn't destroyed by the Devil's Palace, and why it was separated from the fiendish demon cauldron and suppressed? I don't know. Yu Yuan snorted coldly. The Chaos Kuan suddenly stood up slowly. When he stood up, everyone's expressions changed and their hearts sank. This was because the large bloody hole in his abdomen had already healed. Not even a single scar could be seen. The ultimate healing ability of a star behemoth was vividly displayed on him. Then, he stretched his limbs and looked at the sword-light cage that was gradually expanding because of his teeth. However, he wasn't in a hurry to get out. Instead, he said to Yu Yuan in a calm and composed manner, "It didn't turn into an evil spirit because of the heavenly devils. It wasn't a natural process. It was those demonic cultivators from the Devil's Palace who wanted to know if this would work, so they killed him near the fiendish demon cauldron. It's man-made." Kong Ban Bai was aghast. Yu Yuan's expression also changed slightly. The demonic cultivators of the human race claim to be the orthodox path of the demonic race. They claim to the outside world that the demonic race is the ultimate path of the demonic race. The Chaos Kuan's face was cold and his eyes were equally cold. Human demonic cultivators hunt down earth demons in Howren and refine them into artifacts to improve their demonic arts and strengthen their muscles and bones. In the Starry River, they kill heavenly devils to prove their strength. With the destruction of the fiendish demon sect, this cauldron's soul must have died or lost its intelligence. Either way, it hasn't moved. Without a soul, a divine tool's grade naturally drops, and it can no longer display its mighty power. If the Devil's Palace wants another divine tool, they have to find a new soul for this cauldron. They captured a heavenly devil and killed it near the cauldron. Then, with the wonders of the cauldron, the heavenly devil's soul will not be extinguished, and it will spontaneously gather its evil aura to become a tormented spirit. There's a secret connection between that tormented spirit and the fiendish demon cauldron. It was born because of the fiendish demon cauldron, and grew stronger because of it. It was so that one day, it could enter the fiendish demon cauldron as a new soul and return it to the ranks of divine tools. The reason why they separated it and allowed it to grow and transform on its own was to preserve its wild nature. In the trials at the bottom of the starry ash sea, some people died every time. When there weren't trials, the Devil's Palace and the Goblin Temple would send some living beings into the cauldron to kill each other and nurture the tormented spirit. The reason why they didn't let it enter the fiendish demon cauldron was because the devil's palace felt that it wasn't qualified for the time being. But now, the blue devil's tear has come to life, forcing it to transform faster and enter the fiendish demon cauldron as soon as possible. If it doesn't enter the fiendish demon cauldron, it will be devoured by the blue devil's tear and become a part of the spiritual altar. The primordial Kuan's words shocked everyone in the falling star eyes. So this tormented spirit's existence was actually prepared for the fiendish demon cauldron. It wanted to enter the fiendish demon cauldron as its soul and return this divine tool to the divine grade. Don't let it enter. Once it enters, you'll have nothing to do with it, the Chaos Kuan added. The Chaos Kuan added, because with your current cultivation level and current attainments, you're not qualified to possess him at all. Yu Yuan. Lu Ying's face was pale, her lips trembling slightly as she looked in another direction in fear. Oh no, this is bad. What? Su Yan had a bad feeling. It's coming, Lu Ying exclaimed. When the survivors of the ancient desolate sect and the sword sect heard her words, they were at a loss at first. However, they soon understood what she meant. Everyone's hearts palpitated in an instant. They followed her gaze unnaturally and looked in that direction. Is it the blood altar? Kong Banbai sighed. Lu Ying nodded slightly with a stiff expression. It's coming. I can feel it. It's coming. What are you waiting for? The Chaos Kuan looked coldly at her from inside the sword light cage. This meteor is back in your control. Why don't you run if you know it's coming? Lu Ying hesitated and looked at Yu Yuan. At this time, Mo Yen inside the crystal bottle also sensed the blood altar's approach with the help of the Yaluo demon blade. His face darkened as he scolded, "What I'm afraid of, it's coming. Lively, it's really lively. The blood altar, the Chaos Kuan, the fiend demon cauldron, and the tormented spirits all gathered together? The blood altar is coming?" Qi Yin was scared out of his wits. They'd always wanted to leave the Starash Ocean region and struggle free of the dark blue curtain, and it was all for the sake of avoiding the blood altar so as to avoid being reduced to flesh and blood sacrifices. After hearing Yu Yuan and Mo Yen talk about the blood altar's ferocity, everyone was secretly afraid. After hiding for so long, the crystal glass bottle that was about to reach the border had a chance to break through the deep blue curtain and escape this calamity. But Mo Yen asked to turn around and deal with the Chaos Kuan. Now, the blood altar that they had been hiding from came to join in the fun. The young geniuses from the various evil sects and demonic sects in the northern part of the tranquil continent all looked at Mo Yen with resentment. None of them dared to voice their anger. If the Chaos Kuan goes out, not only will we die, the entire tranquil continent may suffer. Mo Yan's face was cold. In his irritation, he didn't have a good expression. The Chaos Kuan was not restrained, and it took the opportunity to go out. The trouble will be even bigger. Then what should we do now? Qi Nandu asked. Yu Yuan? On the other side, Lu Ying, Su Yan, and the others asked Yu Yuan for his opinion. Since I'm going to die either way, I might as well not hide anymore. Yu Yuan suddenly relaxed. Under the complicated situation in front of him, he didn't care about every detail, didn't look for an answer, and acted according to his instincts. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. If the blood altar wants to come, let it come. While everyone was shocked, the Chaos Kuan that was bound by the sword light cage struggled violently again because of his words. As he struggled, he slapped away the strands of sword light with both of his hands and shouted, "Boy! If you let me out, I don't even want the fiendish demon cauldron." Are you scared? Yu Yuan suddenly felt very happy. He pointed at the Chaos Kuan that had turned into a skinny old man. Before you go out, you are not the blood altar's match at the bottom of the sea, right? I have a feeling that you are only qualified to fight it under the sea after you have the fiendish demon cauldron. but this cauldron is now in my hands. The Chaos Kuan's eyes were dim, and he only said, "Let me out. If you have the ability, then break free yourself. I will use up all the remaining sword light to fight you." Yu Yuan didn't care about the consequences, and provoked him recklessly. P.S. Today is the 4th update. I am tired to death. Give me a recommendation ticket. Chapter 459. His intuition told him that the Blood Altar's primary target at the bottom of the sea was none other than the Chaos Kuan. He even felt that the Blood Altar that was wandering around and killing creatures had always been looking for the Chaos Kuan. The more he thought about it, the more he could understand. The Blood Altar that was buried deep at the bottom of the sea desired the demon race first because of their enormous blood essence. Then came the demon cultivators and the ancient Baron sect cultivators who were good at body refinement like Du Huang. The Blood Altar desired the blood essence that was as vast as the sea. What else in the bottom of the starry ash sea could be more vigorous than the Chaos Kuan's blood essence? The Golden Bull and the low-level demon race that entered the sea to train were like fireflies compared to the Chaos Kuan. They were not at the same level as the Chaos Kuan. Since the Chaos Kuan knew about the tears of the Blue Devil and the Blood Altar, how could the Blood Altar and the spiritual altar in the sea not know about his existence? According to He Sun, the deep blue curtain that the Blood Altar built was the second restriction on the Chaos Kuan other than the 36 totem pillars of the demon race. From the looks of it, the Blood Altar and the tears of the Blue Devil definitely knew about the Chaos Kuan. Thinking about it carefully, the reason why the Chaos Kuan was in a hurry to come out from the stern of the sunken ship and bewitched him to break a totem pole to help it rush out quickly, wasn't it also because it knew about the abnormal movement of the Blue Devil's tear? The Chaos Kuan must be worried that the tears of the Blue Devil and the Blood Altar would lock onto his position and find the sunken ship and him. He Sun said that before the Chaos Kuan rushed out of the deep blue curtain, it was still at the bottom of the starry ash sea. The Chaos Kuan was no match for the Blood Altar. Unless the Chaos Kuan obtained the fiendish demon cauldron and combined the two, the Chaos Kuan would have the power to fight. At this moment, even though the fiendish demon cauldron had left his dantian and was floating in his chest uncontrollably, there was still a blood essence connection between him and the Chaos Kuan. The Chaos Kuan was restricted by the sword light cage and could not break free immediately. It could not obtain the fiendish demon cauldron. Under such circumstances, when the Blood Altar that the Blue Demon race had spent so much effort to build quietly arrived, who would be its first target to attack? Most likely, it was the Chaos Kuan. All sorts of thoughts flashed through his mind like bolts of lightning, and it allowed Yu Yuan to sort out a train of thought in this hopeless situation. He gazed at the chaos rock that was struggling ceaselessly, and then he grinned and chuckled strangely as he said, "Interesting, truly interesting. I suddenly feel that the training in the Stardust Sea region is really enjoyable." As he spoke, he laughed and retreated step by step. The scabbard that he held tightly in both hands was still pointed at the Chaos Kuan from afar. From time to time, a rainbow sword essence would shoot out from the scabbard and merge back into the sword net. Everyone in the Falling Star Eyes looked at him with puzzled eyes, not knowing what to do. He retreated all the way to Lu Ying and Su Yan's side, standing shoulder to shoulder with Lu Ying. Standing so close that he could smell the delicate fragrance on Lu Ying's body. Lu Ying's hair was disheveled, and her face was pale. Her breathing was ragged. She spread out her slender, jade-like hands, and her palms were like a sea of stars. Like dazzling grains, starlight flashed in her pure white palms. It was as if her hands each contained a sea of stars, where numerous sparkling stars were deposited. They corresponded to the heavenly star array that was carved in the deepest part of the Falling Star Eyes under her feet. Yu Yuan suddenly turned his head and smiled brightly at her. "Are you all right?" Lu Ying's mind was injured, and she was coughing up mouthfuls of blood. She had consumed a lot of her spirit energy, but when she saw Qin Lai's bright smile, she felt inexplicably at ease. Then, she rolled her eyes at him. "Do I look like I'm fine? My mind, flesh power, and spiritual power have all been consumed. How can I be all right?" "You'll be fine." Yu Yuan suddenly separated one of his hands. Under everyone's shocked gazes, he covered one of Lu Ying's fair, jade-like hands with his own. Lu Ying, who had her palm facing up and was observing the lines on her palm with her mind and spiritual power, shuddered slightly. Her heart was suddenly at a loss, and her mind was thrown into chaos. Under everyone's gazes, Yu Yuan didn't hold the scabbard with both hands. Instead, he separated one of his hands and pressed it against her upturned palm. What was the meaning of this? Lu Ying's small face flushed slightly, and her mind was in a mess. She glared at him and was about to scold him. However, in the next moment she was dumbfounded. Yu Yuan's hand, which was covering her palm, suddenly became incomparably hot. Wisps of warmth quietly penetrated Yu Yuan's palm and entered her flesh without any obstruction. They miraculously merged into her body, stabilized her injuries, and nourished her flesh power. The warm currents carried the refined power of the flaming sun. Not only did they not conflict with the incantations she practiced, but they also made her feel comfortable. She examined herself again, and felt that there seemed to be 9 miniature suns in Yu Yuan's palm, which continuously released light and heat like rings. 9 points of flame power like rings of light. Lu Ying's body shook, and her beautiful eyes abruptly lit up. Yu Yuan didn't say anything. He only nodded slightly at her and smiled. The 9 lights' heavenly wheel inheritance of extreme Yang Mountain might not be able to heal Lu Ying's injuries. However, a bit of refined sun flame power driven by the 9 lights' heavenly wheel could be injected into Lu Ying's body and heal her injuries. Star Luna Sect, Star Division Sect, and Moon Sect. Although Moon Sect was mysterious, Star Division Sect was the orthodox and the foundation of Star Luna Sect's status. In the vast and boundless Milky Way, there were countless stars, bright moons, and blazing suns. In Howren, the moon and the sun might be the only ones. However, there were still some in the depths of the universe. However, according to the great cultivators who had left Howren and roamed the outer realms, whether it was the moon or the sun, they were still stars. It was just that it was a rather special star. Star Luna Sect's star division had passed down many generations of wondrous spirit arts. Other than absorbing star power in the middle of the night, it could also absorb moon power. It could also absorb a bit of the sun's light during the day. This was a secret that Yu Yuan knew. It was because there was only one sun and moon in Howren. It wasn't very efficient to use Star Division's spirit arts to absorb a single sun or moon's light. It was far less effective than absorbing bits of starlight from the endless stars and gathering them together. However, the fact that Star Division's spirit arts could absorb the sun and moon's light meant that Star Division's spirit arts could also withstand the essence of the moon and the refined sun. Perhaps Star Division was inferior to Moon Sect in terms of refining moon power alone. Star Division was inferior to some of Primal Yang Sect's wondrous inheritances in terms of absorbing the sun's power. Star Division's advantage lay in the fact that they could refine any sun, moon, or star. After testing it today, it was indeed possible. He sensed that a bit of refined solar flame had been mixed with spirit energy inside his own Golden Hall microcosm and secretly slipped into Lu Ying's palm through the 9 lights' heavenly wheel. Seeing that Lu Ying's brow had relaxed and her complexion had improved, Yu Yuan smiled and said, "Let's get close to the crystal bottle with the meteor star eyes." Lu Ying exclaimed softly. Her palm was pressed against Yu Yuan's, and she still hadn't come to her senses. She was still a little dazed. "Just get close to the crystal bottle." Yu Yuan suddenly grabbed Lu Ying's hand with his fingers and slowly tightened his grip to prevent the refined sun flame from flowing out of his palm. "Since he's trapped in my sword light cage, I will," with these words, the sparkling and translucent cage made of interweaving sword lights suddenly shot upwards. It was bound by Yu Yuan's power. Open! Yu Yuan abruptly tightened his grip on Lu Ying's hand to remind her. While Lu Ying felt pain in her palm, she saw Yu Yuan's expression turn extremely serious. She saw that the primal chaos Kun inside the sword light cage was suddenly struggling madly, roaring and trying to charge out. She immediately came to her senses. Due to her thoughts, a hole appeared out of nowhere in the airtight star energy light curtain that was several times thicker. The primal chaos Kun wrapped in sword light instantly flew out of the hole along with the sword light cage and appeared outside the meteor star eyes. ZZZT. ZZZT. The teeth of the primal chaos Kun, which had turned into a divine weapon, clashed madly with the intertwining sword lights. Inside the cage, the emaciated old man glared at Yu Yuan with bone-deep, dark eyes and roared angrily, "You dare trick me, kid? I learned it from Senior." Holding Lu Ying's hand, Yu Yuan looked up at him with a cheerful smile and stopped the other sword lights inside the scabbard from moving. "The blood altar is rapidly approaching. Senior shouldn't be able to come out anytime soon. You will die. Everyone close to you will die." The primal chaos Kun suddenly calmed down and said word by word in a tone that was engraved in his bones. Yu Yuan laughed involuntarily. "I'll wait." He held Lu Ying's hand tightly again and said softly, "Let the meteor star eyes move closer to the crystal bottle. Leave him in this sea area and let the blood altar choose its target." Oh oh oh. Chapter 460. Within the sea, the cage made of sword light was repeatedly rammed by the primal chaos Kun. Scales that were as hard as divine iron had already covered the primal chaos Kun's entire body. His withered body suddenly burst with endless power, bursting with grayish-brown pillars of light. The totem poles suddenly shone with dazzling demonic light, and the angry roars of the heads of the great ancient demons rumbled out together. At this moment, the primal chaos Kun, who was standing in the sword light cage, unleashed an explosive power that shook heaven and earth. No one knew if it was because it was flustered and exasperated, or because it had a premonition that the blood altar was coming, but it was clearly going crazy. However, the meteor eyes had already disappeared into the distance. Inside the cage, the primal chaos Kun's eyes, one crimson and the other white, were as bright as lanterns, releasing intimidating and savage light as they stared at Yu Yuan across the sea. Yu Yuan's face was as calm as an ancient well, without the slightest hint of fear. He was still holding Lu Ying's hand as the two of them stood side by side. The man was handsome and free, and the woman was like a goddess of the stars. They looked quite harmonious, like an immortal couple. Holding the scabbard, he pointed at the primal chaos Kun and said with a smile in a relaxed tone, "This being from outer space has two eyes that are quite mysterious and miraculous. One of them seems to have refined the blazing sun, and the other seems to have refined the soul of the moon. I really want to gouge out his eyes and play with them in my palm." Palm, Lu Ying's heart rippled as she suddenly noticed that many gazes were looking at them. Du Huang and Kong Banbai had strange expressions on their faces, as if they were deep in thought. Su Yen of the Taiyuan sect had dark, beautiful eyes that were as deep as a mountain stream. No one knew what she was thinking. "I'm fine." Lu Ying swung her hand that was tightly held by Yu Yuan and said somewhat shyly, All right. You don't need to use your spirit power to heal my injuries." "Heal your injuries?" Du Huang's expression flickered. "Yu Yuan, can those sword lights trap him?" Kong Banbai was more concerned about everyone's safety. "What is the nature of this senior that came from beyond the heavens?" "It seems to be a giant beast of the starry sky. In the ancient times when we humans had yet to find the cultivation method, and when the demon race and the dragon race dominated Hauran, he broke through the barrier of the starry sky and came from beyond the heavens. Unfortunately, He was captured alive and sealed at the bottom of the sea by the many great demons. Yu Yuan smiled and let go of Lu Ying's small hand that he had been holding for a while. He nonchalantly introduced, "He is called the Chaos Kun." Just by looking at the ancient totem pillars, one could roughly guess how strong they were in the past. The sword beam can trap him, but not for long. Everybody in the falling star eye was still restless and frightened. After he finished speaking, everyone became even more impatient. The sword aura couldn't trap him, and the blood altar was getting closer. There was also the tormented soul, transformed from the heavenly demon. It was hard to imagine how Yu Yuan could still laugh. Whoosh! The falling star eyes swept across the top of the ever-changing tormented soul. The fiendish demon cauldron that floated in Yu Yuan's chest and moved as he moved suddenly moved, as if it wanted to charge out and merge with the tormented soul. With a snort, wisps of flesh aura wrapped around the fiendish demon cauldron like ropes and chains. Under the activation of the fiendish body refining art, the refined flesh aura hidden in Yu Yuan's meridians and bones also produced a suction force that pulled at the fiendish demon cauldron, preventing it from charging out. Standing at the bottom of the sand, the tormented soul once again condensed into a blue figure and charged towards the fiendish demon cauldron. The white bone spears that were wreathed in the power of the dead souls and flesh aura formed a bone spear formation that suddenly exerted force. The white light flashed like lightning, and the screams of the dead souls were instantly applied to the tormented soul. Under the sea, the blue figure was penetrated by the white light and the power of the dead souls absorbed by the bone-devouring shuttle. Its momentum of soaring into the sky was immediately stopped. The tormented soul, which only had its instincts, probably didn't expect that the bone-devouring shuttle of the heavenly evil sect was inside the crystal glass bottle. This item could restrict it and prevent it from breaking free. Otherwise, if it broke the crystal glass bottle and entered the tranquil continent, it would definitely take more than half of the lives of the evil race's chosen ones. The falling star eye is here. Fei Yi from the Devil's Palace quietly came behind Mo Yen and warned him. "I'm not blind." Mo Yen answered Fei Yi indifferently. Holding the Kiara Devil Saber in his hand, he frowned and looked at Yu Yuan through the crystal glass bottle. There was also the primal Chaos Kun that had been restrained by the sword light cage after Yu Yuan had left. Lin Yu, Ho Tianzhao, Qi Nandu, and the others already knew that the skinny old man trapped by the sword light net was the primal Chaos Kun that Mo Yen had mentioned. In other words, it was the strange fish that everyone was suspicious of. The wisps of sword light that had flown out of Yu Yuan's scabbard were actually able to stop the primal Chaos Kun from escaping. This indirectly proved Mo Yan's words. He might not be able to defeat Yu Yuan. They had finally witnessed the power of the scabbard and realized that it was extraordinary. "Did He Sun tell you everything?" Mo Yen snorted softly and said to Yu Yuan through the sea, "You and I both know how brutal and terrifying the primal Chaos Kun is. The blood altar is also approaching. What do you plan to do now?" "What do you plan to do?" Yu Yuan asked. At this moment, the crystal glass bottle and the meteorite eyes were only a few meters apart. Under the spell of Qi Nandu and Lu Ying, the two sides could hear each other's voices and exchanges. They were going to work together. In the Howran world, the different sects and forces of the Tranquil Continent and the Tianyuan continent would always abandon their former grudges and work together to fight against foreign objects. Since ancient times, this fine tradition had been passed down from generation to generation. Now they were not outside the galaxy but inside the world. Because of the sudden appearance of the primal Chaos Kun, the tears of the Blue Devil, and the strange evil spirits, a group of juniors who had not yet reached the Yang spirit realm were once again carrying forward this fine tradition. Your cage that is related to the Sword Sect and is condensed from sword light will continue to imprison the primal Chaos Kun. Mo Yen had already made a plan and immediately expressed his attitude. we will reach the edge of the deep blue serene curtain at the fastest speed. With the cooperation of the meteorite eyes, the crystal glass bottle, and the bone-devouring shuttle, we will try to penetrate the ceiling light curtain. As soon as the hole appears at the bottom of the sea, we will quickly pass through it. At that time, the primal Chaos Kuan may have broken free of the sword light cage, but we will have escaped. When Mo Yen gave the idea, everyone secretly considered it and felt that it was highly feasible. As long as you have enough confidence in the sword light cage, we can proceed, and we have to do it as soon as possible. Mo Yen caressed the Yaluo demonic saber with a heavy expression. It's coming very quickly. It won't be long before it arrives. Lu Ying asked softly, Yu Yuan, what do you think? Mo Yen, your suggestion is not very feasible. Yu Yuan shot a glance in the direction where the blood altar had come from and said, that thing has become even faster. If its target were us, the meteor fall star eyes and the crystal bottle might not be able to outrun it. If we really want to escape, I suggest we split up. Split up? Lin Yu exclaimed softly. Split up and let that thing choose its target. If it chooses the meteorite eyes, good luck. Yu Yuan shrugged. If it chooses the crystal glass bottle, our chances of survival will be much higher. What he meant was that whoever the blood altar chose, the other side would have a chance to survive. Mo Yen saw his expression and knew that he was talking nonsense. He said impatiently, all right. What good suggestions do you have? The cage can't restrain it for long. Yu Yuan's expression became serious. He stopped joking and nodded to Yen Lu, Ho Tianzhao, Lin Yu, and the others as a greeting. Then he said, I think we don't need to rush. It's more interesting to watch two tigers fight. Two tigers fight? Mo Yen paused for 3 seconds and was the first to realize. Why do you think that the blood altar will fight with the primal Chaos Kuan first after it arrives? That's my guess. Yu Yuan spread his hands and said casually, I just want to take a gamble and see if my guess is true. What if we lose? Mo Yen said with a sullen face. If we lose, we will all die here. No one will survive. Yu Yuan took a breath and said, Anyway, in my opinion, if the blood altar's target is us, we may not be able to escape even if we want to. Also, if we break the deep blue serenity curtain, if the energy curtain doesn't heal itself, the primal Chaos Kuan can take the opportunity to escape after it breaks free. Lord He Sun should have told you how big of a disaster it will be after it gets out. Yu Yuan gave his judgment. Inside the crystal glass bottle, everyone subconsciously looked at Mo Yen. Let's wait. Chapter 461. Inside the cage filled with sword beams, the roar of the Chaos Kuan shook the sky. He seemed to be unusually impatient, as if he knew that the blood altar would arrive soon. After the meteorite eyes flew away and clashed with the white bone short spear a few more times, the tormented soul that was suppressed by the bone-devouring shuttle quieted down. Mo Yan's "let's wait" seemed to agree with Yu Yuan's suggestion. Therefore, the trial takers of the 2 continents in the crystal glass bottle and the meteorite star I looked anxiously in the direction where the blood altar was coming from, waiting. The fiendish demon cauldron. Yu Yuan's expression relaxed as he carefully observed the giant cauldron floating in his chest. With a thought, wisps of bloody light flew out of his profound door of blood and entered the giant black cauldron. Strangely enough, the fiendish demon cauldron that had tried to break free earlier also quieted down. It seemed to know that it would be difficult for it to merge with the tormented soul, so it was not in a hurry. Circulating the fiendish body refining art, Qin Lai guided it with his blood and shouted with his mind. However, the giant cauldron hesitantly refused to enter his dantian. Yu Yuan tried to establish a connection with He Sun of the Devil's Palace through the fiendish demon cauldron. He wanted to learn more about the fiendish demon cauldron, the blood altar, and the Chaos Kuan from He Sun. However, the fiendish demon cauldron refused to enter his dantian. Yu Yuan was at his wit's end. He Sun's soul voice came from a cluster of devil patterns. Yu Yuan thought for a while and suddenly changed his strategy. He no longer used his blood and flesh to guide it. Instead, he secretly used the extreme intellectual soul-tempering art and tried to comprehend it with his mind and consciousness refined by the heavenly soul. As soon as the extreme intellectual soul-tempering art was formed, a sorrowful mood spread out from Yu Yuan's body. He looked at the fiendish demon cauldron floating in his chest. His eyes gradually became hollow, as if he was deeply disappointed in everything and became pessimistic about everything. Sigh. I'm afraid we're done for. When the blood altar arrives, everyone will die. The giant beasts of the starry sky, the fiendish demon cauldron, and the blood altar. With so many strange things gathered together, how can we survive? Forget it, forget it. Just wait for your death. The trial takers of the ancient desolate sect and the sword sect sighed in despair. Su Yen sighed softly and began to feel sorry for herself. She felt that her fate was not good, and she deserved to be cut off from her cultivation path after encountering such a change in the starry Ash Sea region when she just entered the Taiyuan sect. Even Lu Ying became dispirited and helpless. Her mood that had been slightly lifted was infected by her sadness. Kong Banbai from the Sword Sect was the only one in the entire Starfall Eyes. His heart was like a boulder, and he sensed something the moment Yu Yuan used the extreme wisdom soul-tempering art. He stared at Yu Yuan curiously and thought to himself, it's a sad feeling. Strange, it's not coming from the fiendish demon cauldron, but from Yu Yuan. Yu Yuan, who had secretly used the extreme wisdom soul-tempering art, felt his 3 souls tremble slightly. His empty eyes suddenly lit up. He suddenly had a mysterious and wonderful feeling. When he used the extreme wisdom soul-tempering art, the fiendish demon cauldron that floated in his chest seemed to have an extremely deep consciousness that had been touched by his sadness. That consciousness was so weak that it was difficult to distinguish it, as if it didn't exist. When he didn't use the extreme wisdom soul-tempering art, didn't sense it with his heavenly soul, and didn't disperse the sadness, that consciousness didn't move at all. But at this moment, he was very sure that there was an extremely weak consciousness that had been affected by his sadness. Strange, it's really strange, too strange. At this time, Kong Banbai from the Sword Sect was no longer cursing in his heart. Instead, he softly muttered, a sad emotion. When a living being dies, the fiendish aura is formed by all kinds of emotions. That emotion doesn't come from the fiendish demon cauldron. Could it be that he comprehended it from the fiendish demon cauldron in such a short time? It was as if a bolt of lightning had struck Yu Yuan's soul and mind, causing him to suddenly become excited. Kong Banbai was right. When cultivating the extreme wisdom soul-tempering art, the sadness that was naturally released was a unique emotion. It didn't have a strong soul power to begin with. As for the fiendish aura, it was the condensation of all kinds of emotions. It could be fear, hatred, or even the desire to live. From this point of view, the sorrowful emotions that the extreme wisdom soul-tempering art released were similar to the fiendish aura formed by the fiendish demon cauldron, the fiendish spirits, and even the final form of the fiendish demon. Was it because of this that he was able to sense the consciousness hidden deep within the fiendish demon cauldron? With these thoughts in mind, he focused all of his attention on the huge black cauldron, trying to make contact with the hidden awareness bit by bit. He wanted to know what that consciousness was. Whoosh! After floating for a long time, the black cauldron that he couldn't pull with his blood aura suddenly took the initiative to approach him. He was stunned for a moment. The fiendish demon cauldron that had come out of his blood aura dantian actually entered his middle dantian and sank back into the small blood aura world that he had just opened. That cauldron, where is the fiendish demon cauldron? A survivor of the ancient Baron sect, who had been staring at the fiendish demon cauldron, couldn't help but exclaim when he saw it enter Yu Yuan's meridians. After the fiendish demon cauldron disappeared, everyone who was shrouded in sorrowful emotions woke up. Everyone looked at Yu Yuan in unison. Du Huang asked tentatively, "Did you put that thing back into your body?" Shocked, Yu Yuan ignored Du Huang and focused on entering the profound door of blood aura to observe the fiendish demon cauldron that had entered on its own. Soon, he sensed that the extremely weak consciousness of the fiendish demon cauldron that had entered his blood aura world was actively trying to find him and contact him. A trace of consciousness was released from the fiendish demon cauldron, expressing its surprise. "You've cultivated the Shenhun sect's soul arts?" The Shenhun sect. A shudder ran through Yu Yuan as his mind, which had been immersed in the flesh aura in his dantian, was thrown into disarray. He took a deep breath and refocused his mind. "That's right. I once studied the Shenhun sect's soul arts in the Forbidden Land of the Fallen Moons and obtained their legacies." "What's in the Forbidden Land of the Fallen Moons?" The consciousness asked for confirmation. "There's a soul-transforming pool and a heaven-sealing soul-transforming formation in the Forbidden Land," Nie Tian answered. After a moment of hesitation, Yu Yuan answered honestly. "There's a mysterious space at the bottom of the soul-transforming pool that suppresses a tunnel that connects to another realm. I once saw 4 simple black characters that read, 'Extreme wisdom leads to injury.' The soul art I practice is called the Extreme Wisdom Soul Tempering Incantation." "That's right." The faint consciousness of the fiendish demon cauldron seemed to confirm its speculation. Meanwhile, wisps of Yu Yuan's flesh aura that were connected to the fiendish demon cauldron were instantly channeled by the cauldron and flew into it. There was a mysterious demonic pattern inside the cauldron. Yu Yuan's wisps of flesh aura imprinted a new pattern on it. It was the pattern on which Yu Yuan had first sensed He Sun's demonic voice. The faint consciousness of the fiendish demon cauldron seemed to have confirmed that Yu Yuan practiced the soul arts of the Shenhun sect, and after listening to Yu Yuan's words about the secrets in the Forbidden Land of the Fallen Moons, it seemed to have acknowledged him. After acknowledging him, the first thing that the consciousness did was to tamper with the Mageweth. That way, He Sun in the Devil's Palace would no longer be able to communicate with Yu Yuan through the pattern. That way, the connection between He Sun and the fiendish demon cauldron would be cut off, and he would no longer be able to sense what was inside it. "I'm the soul of this cauldron." Only after ensuring that He Sun and the others wouldn't be able to hear or sense it did the incomparably weak consciousness reveal its secret. "Before I became the soul of the fiendish demon cauldron, I was in the Forbidden Land of the Fallen Moons. Since you've been acknowledged by my sect and practiced the soul incantations of my sect, you're one of us now." "What?" Yu Yuan was flabbergasted. "You're from the Forbidden Land of the Fallen Moons? Are you an evil devil from the outer realm suppressed by the Forbidden Land, or are you an earth devil?" "I'm from the Shenhun sect," the soul of the fiendish demon cauldron said. Yu Yuan finally came to his senses. After a moment of pondering, he asked, "Then how did you become the soul of the fiendish demon cauldron?" "It's a long story, and I don't have time to tell you," the soul of the fiendish demon cauldron said to Yu Yuan. "If you trust me, then do as I say. Since you practice the fiendish demon body tempering incantations, you don't deserve to be my new master. However, since you're a member of my sect, you do." Chapter 462. Inside the crystal glass bottle of the Starfall Eyes, many gazes were fixed on Yu Yuan. Everyone wanted to know if the fiendish demon cauldron had entered his dantian because he had refined it, or if there was something else. Lin Zhuyun, who Qi Nanda didn't bother to restrict, was surrounded by a group of evil spirits. Her face was sad and she looked extremely helpless. She was alone, huddled in a corner, looking miserable. Yen Lu from the Devil Palace couldn't bear to see her like this. He stood beside her and lowered his head to look at her. He sighed with emotion. If the Lin family had listened to old Madame's words and agreed to her marriage with Yuan, what would have happened now? As for herself, if she didn't resist and was willing to treat Yu Yuan and the Yu family members well, what would she be like? Lin Yu, Ho Tianzhao, Qi Nandu, and even Mo Yen, whose background was unknown, thought so highly of Yu Yuan in the starry Ash Sea region. It was obvious how outstanding this guy from Dark Moon City was. But the Lin family had sinned, and Lin Jiyun's lack of insight led to today's result. Sigh. Thinking of this, Yen Lu sighed softly. There was nothing he could do. I don't want your pity. Lin Jiyun suddenly raised her head. Her eyes were dark, and there was no light on her face. Everyone will die. You can't escape either. What's there to pity others for? Yen Lu was startled. He shook his head and said, Maybe they can survive. Survive? Lin Jiyun smiled sadly. Her smile was filled with indescribable despair and strangeness. Everyone here will die. They should die. It's good to die. She lowered her head. Her body seemed to emit an aura of death, as if she had no attachment to life. Yen Lu felt that she was strange and ignored her. Mo Yan's eyes lit up. He shouted, Yu Yuan. Above the starfall eyes, Yu Yuan, who had closed his eyes for a while, suddenly opened his eyes. Qi Nandu and Lu Ying, with the help of the crystal glass bottle and the starfall eyes, had sensed the arrival of the blood altar with great precision. Their minds shook. In the cage where the sword light intertwined, the Chaos Kuan was covered in blood, and its scales were flying like blades. It was trying to break the seal by force. His sinister roars and vicious curses at Yu Yuan grew louder and louder with each shout. The tormented souls that were trapped by the bone-devouring shuttles once again rammed into the white bone spears that filled the sky, causing a lot of seawater crystals to explode. Who? After Yu Yuan opened her eyes, the baleful demon cauldron, which had just entered her dantian, flew out again. Release the star energy barrier. Yu Yuan barked. Lu Ying was confused. What? The fiendish demon cauldron slowly floated up and headed towards the star energy screen. It looked like it was about to leave and charge out. Let it out. Yu Yuan repeated. Oh, okay. Within the lines on Lu Ying's palm, specks of starlight changed their positions according to her thoughts. They formed a new formation and changed their positions. A part of the thick star energy screen suddenly thinned, and a door opened on its own. The fiendish demon cauldron wobbled and floated out of the star door. It suddenly accelerated in the sea and headed towards the tormented souls that had evolved from the heavenly demon of death. The tormented souls that had been suppressed by the bone-devouring shuttles and desperately tried to charge into the starfall eyes to merge with the fiendish demon cauldron was now desperately trying to break free. Many people were dumbfounded. They didn't understand what was going on. Wasn't it the tormented souls that tried to merge with the fiendish demon cauldron and enter the cauldron not long ago? Why was it desperately trying to escape now that the fiendish demon cauldron had flown out? Qi Nandu! Yu Yuan shouted and stared at the feminine man from the heavenly evil sect across the sea. Please use the bone-devouring shuttles to imprison that tormented souls for me. What do you mean? Qi Nandu asked for help and asked for Mo Yan's opinion. I feel that something is wrong. Should we continue to listen to him? Under the sea, he's just like us. He's a human, Mo Yan said in a low voice. Qi Nandu understood and suddenly sat upright inside the crystal glass bottle. As his mind changed, beams of bright flowing light shot out from the crystal glass bottle. The bright light was injected into the white bone spears that the bone-devouring shuttles had split into. After receiving the bright light, all the white bone spears were instantly filled with a strange, evil power. They seemed to become even sharper and more powerful. They also carried an evil power that helped the souls of the dead go berserk. Oh! Ear-piercing screeches came from the white bone spears. Countless rays of crystalline light and flesh aura suddenly enveloped the tormented souls. The tormented souls that had gathered the spirit energy of the sea turned into a somewhat familiar figure. The figure looked like Luoyi of the Cloud Water sect. She was condensed from the spirit energy of the sea. There was a vague outline, but it was still blurry and not completely formed. Luoyi is close to water. She cultivates the spirit art of the Cloud Water sect. She can gather the power of the sea. Kong Banbai saw the clues while he was surprised. However, it's not Luoyi. It's still a tormented soul, a transformation of the extraterrestrial devil. Who cares what it is? Let's stop here, Yu Yuan said. As soon as he said this, the fiend demon cauldron finally emerged from the sea above Luoyi's head. Then, the mysterious patterns branded on the body of the cauldron suddenly became alive and wriggling. The cauldron rapidly expanded under everyone's eyes. In just 10 breaths, the cauldron was as large as a mountain and turned into a pitch-black cauldron. After the fiend demon cauldron, which had fallen to the bottom of the sea and caused the island to collapse and the mountains to shake, appeared in its primitive form, the moving patterns released a soul-sucking light that seemed to contain endless mysteries. Those who didn't have high enough cultivation bases actually felt dizzy when they looked at the pitch-black cauldron. Those who dared to release their flesh auras to sense the aura of the cauldron, like Linyu, were shocked. They coughed up blood and fell to the ground, the light in their eyes dimming. How dare you try to communicate with it with the incantation of the blood god? Mo Yen sneered and looked at Linyu, who was scared out of his wits after falling to the ground. You almost had your refined flesh aura drained by it, didn't you? Linyu snorted coldly, ignoring Mo Yan's sneer. Instead, he nodded at Yu Yuan through the crystal bottle and the light screen of the falling star's eyes, thanking her in his heart. Just now, when he tried to communicate with the fiend demon cauldron with his blood essence using the incantation of the blood god, he felt that the world was spinning and that his blood essence was about to pour into the cauldron. He had almost been swallowed alive by the fiend demon cauldron and died after absorbing all of his blood essence. At that critical moment, he sensed Yu Yuan's aura and sensed Yu Yuan's mind. It seemed to have caused ripples in the cauldron and stopped it from moving. Then, he survived. It was also at that moment that Lin Yu was the first to realize that the fiend demon cauldron, which used to be a divine tool, had acknowledged Yu Yuan as its master. After being refined by him, it would listen to his orders. Swish! The evil spirits that had been trapped by the bone-devouring shuttles and transformed from heavenly devils were suddenly sucked into the fiend demon cauldron, which had its mouth facing down. The evil spirits in Luoyi's form seemed to be struggling madly and fearfully. However, they couldn't resist the overwhelming might of the fiend demon cauldron. Eventually, they disappeared into the cauldron and stopped moving. After devouring the evil spirits, the fiend demon cauldron spun quietly in the sea, as if it wanted to refine them at the first possible moment and erase the evil spirits' will to resist. During this process, the blood altar, which was raging under the sea, appeared as a blue shadow. It seemed to be moving slowly, but in fact, it was moving extremely fast. The blood altar! It's finally here! Everyone exclaimed, staring at the man-eating blue shadow with fear and uneasiness. Many of their fellow disciples who had gone into the sea with them, and the elders who had led them into the starry ash sea had become the flesh and blood in the stomach of the blue shadow and the nutrients in the blood altar. However, the true appearance of the blood altar was still shrouded in the blue shadow and hadn't been fully revealed. I hope it doesn't choose us first, but the primal chaos Kuan. At this point, Mo Yen had no choice but to resign himself to fate and hope that Yu Yuan's judgment was correct. Come back! Yu Yuan's mind flickered. The fiend demon cauldron, which had devoured the evil spirits, shrank rapidly and flew towards him. The sword lights that had imprisoned the primal chaos Kuan for a long time and hadn't exhausted their power yet turned into sparkling lightning bolts, and flew back into the scabbard he held high. P.S. I've only finished 4 chapters in a row in the past 2 days. I'm old. I'm really old. I'm so tired. Chapter 463. The dome of the meteor eyes opened on its own, revealing a brilliant path of light that looked like the mouth of a well. Whoosh! After devouring Luo-Yi's fiendish demon cauldron, clusters of mysterious demonic patterns surged and flowed with a dark, mysterious demonic light. With a terrifying aura that could intimidate souls and suppress all emotions, it rumbled into the cauldron. The giant cauldron, which had shrunk thousands of times, shrunk several times again, surrounded by demonic light. Yu Yuan smiled brightly and raised his right hand. The fiendish demon cauldron steadily fell into his palm. The fiendish demon cauldron had turned into a small, exquisite cauldron in a short period of time. It gave off a small, cute feeling. However, anyone who knew about the origins of the fiendish demon cauldron and had heard of its legends from their seniors would not find it cute at all. Du Huang, Kong Banbai, and the trial takers from the Sword Sect and the Ancient Desolate Sect looked at the fiendish demon cauldron as if they were looking at a scourge. Whoosh! Whoosh whoosh! Beams of sparkling sword light slowed down for a few seconds before flying down from the well-like path of light. Like 100 birds returning to their nest, the sword light disappeared into Yu Yuan's raised scabbard. The many mysterious sword intents, which had changed the seasons, changed the stars, and reversed the sun and moon, settled down, as if they were once again attached to the depths of the scabbard. However, the power contained in the sword light was greatly reduced, and it would be difficult to recover. Yu Yuan felt regretful, but he also knew that the sword light that had left the scabbard had consumed most of its sword energy in a short period of time because it had formed a cage to imprison the primal Chaos Kuan. The sword intent wouldn't disappear, but the loss of sword energy had reduced the power of the sword light by 70 to 80%. One of them had merged with the slender spirit sword of the middle-aged cultivator from the Sword Sect. The sword light and sword intent that contained the divine might of thunder had been completely destroyed by the primal Chaos Kuan. The sword light and sword intent disappeared from heaven and earth, cutting off any possibility of them being restored. Although he felt regretful, he knew that there was nothing he could do about it. He could only look forward. If things went wrong, there might not even be a forward. Brat, you just had to provoke me. Without the sword light restraining it, the Chaos Kuan, which had broken free from the evil dragon, stared at him from afar in the flowing sea. He ignored all the trial takers at the bottom of the entire Stardust Sea region. It was as if he only had one enemy, Yu Yuan. He only wanted Yu Yuan to die. Whoosh! Whoosh! The seawater around him surged violently around him. The seawater seemed to be pulled by his chi and blood, and the speed at which it flowed with him as the center became extremely slow. However, the power brought about by the movement of the seawater was astonishingly heavy. In the Devil's Palace, Missouri Yen communicated with the Gala Demon Saber with his mind. His face darkened as he said, "Not good. The seawater around the Chaos Kuan has become thousands of times heavier. It looks like seawater, but every drop of it is as heavy as meteorite essence, which is countless times heavier than metal." The Gala Demon Saber he possessed was famous for its heaviness. This allowed him to sense its mysteries. Inside the meteor eyes, Yu Yuan held the Fiend Demon Cauldron with one hand and the scabbard with the other. He waited solemnly as he looked at the Chaos Kuan that had broken free and the blue shadow visible to the naked eye. Inside the blue shadow was the blood altar of the Blue Devil race, one of the greatest dangers of the Stardust Sea region. According to Hei Sun, the greatest danger of the Stardust Sea region was the Chaos Kuan. He looked forward to seeing what kind of sparks would be created when the two items met. Crack! Crack! The strange sound of bones cracking came from the depths of the blue shadow. As the blue light approached, the deep blue serene curtain that covered the stardust sea region seemed to change at the same time. Yu Yuan looked up and felt that the deep blue serene curtain that covered the sea surface was sinking bit by bit. Due to the arrival of the blood altar, the originally invisible deep blue curtain of darkness gradually revealed a beautiful, crystalline color. Under the illumination of the sun, the mysterious screen turned blue and sparkled like a sapphire. However, no matter how beautiful the slowly sinking deep blue serene curtain was in everyone's eyes, no one was in the mood to appreciate it. Looking at it slowly sinking, they felt that the sky was collapsing. With an unparalleled power, it pressed down on everyone with the momentum of Mount Tai. The deep blue serene curtain is shrinking, controlling the crystal glass bottle. Chi Nanda's feminine and beautiful face was filled with worry. There was a helpless bitter smile at the corner of his mouth. It's not just on our side. The border where I left the mark with my spiritual sense is also closing in. We are the resurgence of the shrinking. Ah! Ho Tianzhao exclaimed. The deep blue serene curtain that covered the stardust sea region is like a vast net that fell into the water. The shrinking of the net means that those who want to fish have found that the fish have been gathered together and have been found. Mo Yen looked at everyone and the Chaos Kuan. He said, "In the eyes of the blood altar, we are all fish. I didn't expect that we would have such a day." Chi-Yin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Ignorant and ill-informed. With a soft snort, Mo Yen said indifferently, "When you condense your yang spirit and break through the boundary barrier of the Howren world, you will step into the vaster galaxy of the outer realms. You will know that in the boundless outer realms, the experts of the human race and the demon race are not strong enough. When they are alone, they will be set up and killed by the heavenly devils and the alien races in the galaxy. When we conquer the outer heavens and hunt others down, we are also target." Chi-Yin of the Juling School was not angry after being reprimanded by him. He said, "That is the outer realms. But now we are still in the Howren world. This is our territory. In our territory, when did these things have the right to run amok? Before the human race was strong, the heavenly devils and alien beasts of the outer realms did often come here to run amok," Mo Yen said again. Chi-Yin, who had been reprimanded repeatedly, snorted coldly and didn't say anything else. "Will he first take the fiendish demon cauldron that Yu Yuan is holding?" Lin Yu whispered. "He wants to, but he should know that he won't succeed." Mo Yen observed Yu Yuan. Yu Yuan's scabbard has always been in his hand. He can withdraw those sword lights and release them again. If the primal Chaos Kuan dares to come close to the meteorite eyes, it will be restrained by the sword lights again before it can enter, and its power will continue to be digested. Yu Yuan put down the restriction so that he could focus on the battle with the blood altar, said Qin Lai. If Yu Yuan's guess is correct, and the blood altar's first target is the primal Chaos Kuan and nothing else, Mo Yen added. The blue shadow spread over and rapidly approached the primal Chaos Kuan. Finally, the primal Chaos Kuan stopped glaring at Yu Yuan. It turned around and stared at the approaching blue shadow with rapt attention, letting out sharp screeches. The primal Chaos Kuan's unique consciousness seemed to be transmitted in the screeches, as if it was trying to stop the blue shadow from coming. Judging from the primal Chaos Kuan's posture, it obviously had the same thought as Yu Yuan. It firmly believed that the blue shadow that enveloped the blood altar was coming for it. He made the right bet. Mo Yen muttered. His nervous mood relaxed because of the primal Chaos Kuan's posture. If it's really a battle between two tigers, we may have a chance. Everyone secretly cheered up, feeling that their chances of survival had greatly increased. You're always right. At this moment, Su Yen of the Taiyuan sect exhaled softly, the uneasiness on her face greatly reduced. Yu Yuan was just about to smile and comfort everyone when he suddenly heard the soul fluctuations of the cauldron's soul. His expression instantly changed. Then, He grabbed the fiendish demon cauldron and the scabbard and flew towards the crystal bottle. "Let me through!" he yelled at Luing. In front of the falling star eye, the starlight shield that was next to the crystal bottle was shaken. Luing hurriedly opened a passage for Yu Yuan to pass through in an instant. "Get away from the crystal bottle!" Another mental thought sounded inside the falling star eye. Only Luing, the owner of the artifact, could hear it. Luing, Kong Banbai, Su Yen, and the others were all dumbfounded. They didn't know why Yu Yuan would do such a strange thing. What's going on? Seeing Yu Yuan suddenly fly out of the falling star eye and towards him, Qi Nanda cried out in shock. "Let him in!" Mo Yen ordered. Qi Nanda didn't even think. He raised his empty hand and pointed. Spirit light that was as warm as white jade gathered from the outer circle of the crystal bottle and turned into a translucent jade ball. It first wrapped around Yu Yuan and then pulled him inside. Inside the crystal bottle, the evil cultivators from the tranquil continent all stared blankly at him, including Lin Zhuyun of the frigid Yin sect. Lin Zhuyun, who had lost all will to live, stared at him lifelessly with dim eyes. Then, she lowered her head and looked like she was waiting for death. Yu Yuan. Yen Lu, however, was pleasantly surprised. He took the initiative to greet him. "Your eyes are still sharp. You can see that the blood altar's primary target is the Chaos Koan." Yu Yuan's expression was awkward. He didn't immediately respond to Yen Lu's words. Instead, he used a wisp of power left by the fiend demon cauldron to imprint his mental thought into the falling star eye. Inside the falling star eye, Luing looked at him across the sea. The beautiful woman who was regarded by the Star Moon sect as the one who could revitalize the sect trembled slightly. Too many complicated emotions flowed out of the depths of her eyes. There was nostalgia, gratitude, reluctance, helplessness. Kong Banbai, Su Yen, Du Huang, and the others looked at him in shock through the barrier of the crystal bottle and the falling star eye. They seemed to be anxiously asking Luing what had happened. Luing turned a deaf ear, but the falling star eye that was floating motionlessly suddenly flew away at the fastest speed possible. "Why do I feel that something is wrong?" Qi Nanda had a long face. "Yu Yuan, you suddenly came over, but the falling star eye ran away. You're not thinking of harming me, harming us, are you?" "I'm really sorry. You guessed right." Yu Yuan sighed and bowed to the people inside the crystal bottle in embarrassment. "Don't blame me." Everyone was stunned. But in the next moment, they suddenly sensed that something was wrong and discovered the strangeness of the blue shadow. Whoosh! A blood-stained crimson altar made of corpses and wriggling flesh flew out of the blue shadow with a loud rumble. It was still very far away, and there was still the sea between them. Everyone's hearts trembled, and they only felt that the pressure was unbearable. The moment those who had opened the profound door of Qi and blood saw the crimson altar, they felt that the Qi and blood inside their small world of Qi and blood were uncontrollably surging because of the altar's appearance. The profound door of the middle dantian and the sea of Qi and blood instantly became turbulent. The blood altar was very wide. The surface of the altar was deep red like blood, and covered in white bones. At the edge of the altar, pieces of flesh of unknown creatures wriggled and were twisted by the altar, absorbing the Qi and blood nutrients inside and flowing into the altar. The blood altar, which covered an area of dozens of acres, was more than 100 feet tall. It was ferocious and filled with a thick blood aura. It actually flew over the primal Chaos Koan and towards their crystal bottle. Puff! A cultivator from the Juling school, who had just reached the shattering profound realm, suddenly fell into a pool of his own blood with a flushed face. Blood flowed uncontrollably from his mouth and the profound door of his middle dantian. "Damn it, it's still so far away." Qi-yin was both shocked and angry. She didn't care about the death of her fellow disciples. Instead, she said to Yu Yuan, "You seem to have made a mistake. The blood altar didn't attack the primal chaos Kuan as you wished. At this moment, everyone was also looking at him with hatred and anger. Mo Yen gripped the Yaluo demonic saber tightly and flew into a rage. This is different from what He Sun said. The information he had obtained from He Sun in the Devil's Palace was that the blood altar and the primal chaos Kuan were mortal enemies. Once they met, the two would definitely kill each other and end with one of them dying. However, the reality in front of them was different from what He Sun said. The blood altar and the primal chaos Kuan didn't fight to the death. The blood altar suddenly flew away from the blue shadow, passed by the primal chaos Kuan, and headed straight for them. Such a drastic change that defied common sense made Mo Yan's head explode. He was at a loss as to what to do. Yu Yuan said helplessly, "Its target is me." Chapter 464. Man proposes, God disposes. When the blood altar and the chaos Kuan met, there should have been a fierce battle. If Yu Yuan hadn't used the extreme wisdom soul tempering art to communicate with the fiend demon cauldron and smelt it with his soul art. The artifact's soul had just told him that the blood altar had sensed the ripples he had created when he used the extreme wisdom soul tempering art. The extreme wisdom soul tempering art came from the Shunhun sect. The magnate of the Shunhun sect who had created this soul art and engraved the 4 ancient words, "Extreme wisdom will be hurt," on a white paper fan was extremely famous in the outer realms of space. More importantly, the Blue Devil race hadn't been exterminated by the Devil's Palace or the Goblin Temple. Even if the Devil's Palace and the Goblin Temple had taken the Blood Spirit altar and secretly taken it to Howran and sealed it at the bottom of the starry Ash Sea, they weren't the main cause of the Blue Devil race's demise. The one who had slaughtered the Blue Devil race and wiped out this branch of the Heavenly Devils was the former strongest sect in Howran, the Shunhun sect. The remnant soul consciousness of the Blue Devil race and the Blood Spirit altar they had created were naturally sensitive to the Shunhun sect's soul art. They hated the Blue Devil race more than any other sect, force, demonic cultivator, or great demon in Howran. The Shunhun sect was the one who had an irreconcilable blood feud with the Blue Devil race. This kind of hatred surpassed everything and was deeply imprinted on the Blood Spirit altar. The Blood Spirit altar sensed that the Shunhun sect's inheritors had left behind the seal at the bottom of the sea. The Blood Spirit altar let go of everything, even its conflict with the Chaos Kuan, for now. It went straight for Yu Yuan. Whoosh whoosh. The Blood Spirit altar suddenly appeared. The blue shadow seemed to be its shed skin as it moved towards the Chaos Kuan. At the same time, the slowly sinking deep blue curtain sprinkled a sky full of dark blue energy into the blue shadow that originally enveloped the blood altar. The faint blue light formed another kind of seal and ward that suddenly engulfed the slightly surprised primal Chaos Kuan. When the blood altar flew over their heads, the Chaos Kuan was very surprised. It didn't know why its nemesis at the bottom of the sea would suddenly change its mind. When he realized that the blood altar's target was Yu Yuan, he became even more confused. Just when he thought that this danger had nothing to do with him, the blue shadow that bound the blood altar and the power that pulled the deep blue curtain suddenly fell from the sky. The Chaos Kuan let out a muffled groan. In the blue shadow, it once again released the sharp blade formed from its teeth, wanting to break through. The towering crimson altar covered in white bones and piles of flesh flew across the seabed. Puff! A disciple of the blood god had his middle dantian and mystic gate explode. Under everyone's eyes, he fell to the ground like a pile of scattered bones. With his 3 souls dead, his ownerless corpse wriggled strangely and flew out of the crystal bottle. Bang! Bang bang! In addition to this corpse, the corpse of the Juling School disciple who had just died was also colliding with the crystal bottle. More people clutched their chests and wailed as the blood altar approached. Dark red, light purple, and pitch-black bloodlight shot out from the mystic gates on their chests. Those who cultivated different demonic arts and evil scriptures all had different colors of bloodlight. But now, because of the arrival of the blood altar, all of their blood was boiling. Their faces were frighteningly red like cooked prawns. Holding the fiend demon cauldron, Yu Yuan felt the small world of blood and chi ripple slightly. When he used the fiend demon body tempering art, he calmed the abnormality in his dantian. He wasn't too affected. Facing the angry gazes and the faces that wanted to eat him, he said helplessly, "I can't do anything. Why didn't you stay in the meteorite eyes?" Chi Nandu's eyes spat fire. "That side is too weak. It can't give me much help." Yu Yuan wasn't embarrassed. He cupped his fists towards Emoyen and said, "Please forgive me. I see that your demonic saber is powerful and you are all extraordinary. You will definitely be of help against the blood altar, so I won't be polite with you." "Shameless. Yu Yuan. You will die a horrible death. It's fine if you bring trouble to yourself, but why do you have to drag us down with you?" The people of the Blood God, Red Devil School, Juling School, Heavenly Evil Sect, and even people like Shirsi and Hu Tianyang who were familiar with Yu Yuan pointed at him and cursed. Even Yen Lu's expression was strange. He almost couldn't help but spit at him. "At this point, I can't do anything about what you think." Yu Yuan sighed. Seeing that the blood altar was about to arrive, he reminded, "Chi Nandu, do as you see fit." ZZZT. The Kiara demonic saber controlled by Mo Yen instantly flew out of the crystal bottle and headed straight for the blood altar. At the same time, Mo Yan's cultivation level rose at an unbelievable speed. He, who was originally at the late stage of the breaking profound realm, gritted his teeth and forcefully raised his cultivation level. Early stage, middle stage, late stage of the subtle realm. In an instant, he, who was previously at the late stage of the breaking profound realm, directly crossed the seemingly non-existent bottleneck and reached the late stage of the subtle realm. Streaks of deep purple demonic light burst out of his body as he made a breakthrough in his cultivation. He, who was originally in the form of a teenager, turned into a tall and burly young man in this short period of time. His long black hair grew to 1 meter long and fell to his waist. With his hair disheveled, not only did he not seem to be in a sorry state, it instead gave him a strange and mysterious temperament. His lazy posture from before was swept away as he snorted coldly and said, "I'll do my best." The jagged Kiara demonic saber, famous for its thickness, suddenly buzzed at the bottom of the sea. It was like thousands of demons crying, causing one's heart and soul to tremble. "Demonic spirit fall!" Chi Nandu exclaimed and hurriedly controlled the crystal bottle to fly back. As soon as the crystal glass bottle left, the blood altar that had been flying through the seawater actually crashed heavily into the seabed with a boom. The gravity field in the sea area where the Kiara demonic saber was located instantly increased by dozens of times. The blood altar, which was already more than 10,000 kilograms heavy, relied on the buoyancy of the sea to be so fast. But after the gravity field increased, the crimson altar that the blue demon race had spent all their efforts to build sank before it could make any preparations. The bottom of the sea was like the most terrifying magnet in the world, firmly sucking in the blood altar, making it difficult for it to move. The Kiara demonic saber is indeed extraordinary. Yu Yuan praised sincerely. This demonic artifact is not only heavy, but it can also forcefully change the gravity field and increase the gravity. The demonic artifact should have this effect when attacking the enemy. Due to the existence of the gravity field, when the Kiara demonic saber slashes down, its momentum will be faster and heavier due to the gravity. He clicked his tongue in wonder. As he praised, he did not forget to give Mo Yen a thumbs up. "It's all thanks to you." But Mo Yan's face was ashen. Rays of dark purple demonic light sputtered out of his flesh. It seemed to be drawing his blood and mixing it with spirit energy. The fusion of spirit energy and blood was the operating method of many demonic arts and secret arts. This was different from the spirit arts of the Tianyuan continent. Looking at Mo Yan's expression and posture, forcefully breaking through, gathering blood and spirit energy, and using all his strength to control the Kiara demonic saber had consumed a lot of his energy. I didn't misjudge you. I knew you weren't simple. Yu Yuan nodded repeatedly. You don't have to answer. I know it won't be easy to deal with this blood altar. Focus, I won't disturb you. With these words, he said to Lin Yu, Ho Tianzhao, Qi Yin, and the others, if you have any secret methods, use them as soon as possible. That blood altar won't move for a while. It's a good time to deal with it. Everyone looked at each other angrily. Yen Lu coughed and said, Don't talk too much. All the evil path geniuses on the tranquil continent were suppressing their anger because of his arrival and the blood altar's change of target. They were ready to explode at any moment. But he was still provoking them, as if he couldn't wait to ignite the explosives. Yen Lu was thinking for him. He didn't want him to provoke them, so that they wouldn't be forced into a corner and attack him. Don't worry, they're not stupid. Yu Yuan was unperturbed. He narrowed his eyes and scanned the faces of Lin Yu, Ho Tianzhao, and the others. He said indifferently, If we're going to die, we'll all die together. Is he really from the Demon Moon Empire, and from Dark Moon City? Qi Yin said with a strange expression. Yen Lu said, Nonsense, I came with him. How would he dare to provoke Mo Yen? Qi Yin was speechless. Yen Lu shrunk his head and didn't say anything. I advise you to quickly become a Yin spirit. Don't hide it anymore. Yu Yuan hesitated for a moment, and then said to Mo Yen, Using the Yin spirit to control the Kiara demonic saber should strengthen the restrictions on the blood altar. Yin spirit? Yen Lu was stunned. More disciples of the Juling school, the heavenly evil sect, and the Red Devil school didn't know what to do. They exclaimed, Yin spirit? To go from the shattering profound realm to the subtle realm in such a short amount of time was already inconceivable. Was it even possible for him to advance from the subtle realm to the next realm and condense his Yin spirit? In the history of the vast world, there were many talented cultivators who were able to break through multiple realms in a short period of time under the Yin spirit realm, breaking through the shackles of a major realm. However, no one had ever heard of anyone condensing a Yin spirit after reaching the nuance realm. There was no such precedent in history. In the Devil's Palace, Fei Yi suddenly turned pale with fright and looked at Yu Yuan in disbelief. How did you know? Chapter 465. As disciples of the Devil's Palace, Hu Tianyang, Shi, Yen Lu, and the others were all confused. Obviously, they didn't know the inside story like Fei Yi. Even more trial-takers from the Juling school, the Heavenly Evil sect, and the Red Devil school were confused by Yu Yuan's words. However, Ho Tianzhao, Qi Nandu Qi Yin, and Lin Yu suddenly stared at Yu Yuan with astonished gazes while their eyes were filled with shock. They weren't shocked because Mo Yen had jumped from the late stage of the shattering profound realm to the late stage of the subtle realm. Instead, he was shocked that Yu Yuan wasn't surprised at all. Instead, she said something even more shocking. Mo Yen could condense a Yin soul directly. After Fei Yi shrieked in shock, he asked Yu Yuan how she knew. It vaguely confirmed that such a possibility existed. Mo Yen's face turned cold and he snorted. When did you know? Everyone was in an uproar. The abnormalities of Ho Tianzhao and the others, Fei Yi's scream, and Mo Yan's question almost revealed the truth. Could it be that it was possible to condense a Yin soul from the shattering profound realm in a short time? Many people couldn't stay calm and looked at Mo Yen and the confident Yu Yuan as if they were looking at a monster. The corner of Yu Yuan's mouth twitched as he said, According to the legends, the life incarnation demonic incantation of the Devil Palace can change heaven and earth. It's called the life incarnation demonic incantation, which can change one's innate aptitude. The conditions for practicing this incantation are extremely strict and dangerous. You happen to cultivate this demonic art, and you must have practiced it once or twice, right? What demonic art? Life transformation demonic art? How come I've never heard of it? Does the sect have this demonic art? I cultivated in the Devil's Palace, but I've never heard of it. Wu Pei was also surprised. He had been accepted by the Devil's Palace and cultivated in the northern part of the tranquil continent for a while. He had never heard of this demonic art. Serene shook her head. The one who guided me and taught me the devil incantation never mentioned it. When the Devil's Palace walked outside and selected geniuses with potential, they would explain to them the various exquisite spells of the Devil's Palace and let them choose which ones to cultivate. Yen Lu, Serene, Hu Tianyang and the others, before they were even sent to the tranquil continent, they were already familiar with many devil arts. However, not only had they never come into contact with the life transformation rotation demonic art, they had never even heard of it. Many of the sect's survivors who were also from the northern part of the tranquil continent also had an expression that they had never heard of before when Yu Yuan said the life transformation devil arts. After Yen Lu recovered from his surprise, he asked softly, "Is this demonic art very powerful?" Mo Yen, who had reached the late stage of the subtle realm, spread out his spiritual sense, gathered his energy, blood, and spirit energy, and controlled the Kiera demon saber, causing the blood altar to sink to the bottom of the sea, immobilizing it. After hearing Yu Yuan's words, there was no longer a trace of cynicism on his face. Instead, there was hesitation. It was as if he was hesitating whether he should do as Yu Yuan said and directly form his own soul and use it to control the Kiara Devil Saber, thus giving the blood altar a stronger seal. His reaction made everyone even more confused and surprised. The life transformation rotation demonic art is different from the demonic arts you cultivate. Yu Yuan glanced at him and Wu Pei. This demonic art is like the ancient desolate sect's true art of the ancient desolate world. It is a secret that is not passed down. Not to mention outer sect disciples, even inner sect core disciples are not qualified to cultivate this kind of demonic art. The life transformation rotation demonic art is not as famous as the true art of the ancient desolate world because the devil will not reveal it to outsiders or inner sect disciples. A demonic art that can change one's innate talent, the limit of the yellow court meridian, and the number of times it can be condensed is not something that anyone in the Devil's Palace can cultivate. Yu Yuan said in a low voice. Change one's innate talent? Yen Lu was shocked. Many of the survivors also had expressions of disbelief because of Yu Yuan's words. Wasn't talent dead? Wasn't it born how it should be? Wasn't it very difficult to change the size of a small world after a person who had stepped onto the path of cultivation at the early stage of the Golden Hall realm different from person to person? Wasn't a small world that could undergo a few rounds of tempering at the middle stage of the Golden Hall realm also dead? Could it be that there was some miraculous demonic art that could reverse one's innate talent and cause it to change one's innate talent? If there really was such a demonic art, why didn't the Devil's Palace spread it widely and allow every disciple's talent to change through cultivating the demonic art? If every disciple of the Devil's Palace could condense their yellow court meridian 7 or 8 times, wouldn't they be able to give birth to even more young souls and even nascent spirits? The life transformation rotation demonic art can allow those with weak innate talent to possess extraordinary talent. It can also allow those who were already outstanding to advance a step further and become one in a million. Yu Yuan slowly spoke of its profundity. This sort of change isn't easy. It requires the shattering of the Een soul when condensing it and returning to the early stage of the Golden Hall realm. Shattering the Een soul? Wu Pei was shocked to the point of trembling. If a cultivator's Een soul was accidentally shattered when advancing to the Een soul realm, then it was extremely likely that it would mean true death and there would be no possibility of survival. Because at this stage, the young soul and nascent spirit hadn't been condensed yet. Once the Een soul was destroyed, then the cultivator would die as well. The change of the life transformation rotation demonic art actually required the shattering of the Een soul as the price. Needless to say, it was surely accompanied by great risk. The great terror between life and death was also filled with too many accidents. No one dared guarantee that they would definitely be able to overcome it. Exactly, directly shatter the Een soul. It also requires the Een soul realm to instantly drop to the early stage of the Golden Hall realm. This is using the strength of the shattering of the Een soul to change innate and increase the limit of the yellow court meridian. This process is extremely dangerous. The slightest mistake will result in death. However, if you can endure it and survive, then you can create a miracle, because this demonic art can change the yellow court meridian once more. When stepping into the middle stage of the Golden Hall realm, you can even open up a new world and increase the number of refinements. When Yu Yuan spoke, he looked at Mo Yen from beginning to end and said, "What you cultivate is the life transformation rotation demonic art. You've already condensed the Een soul." Mo Yen, who had transformed into a tall youth, his appearance, temperament, and figure had all changed as his cultivation increased. It was as if he had directly become another person in a short period of time. There were various strange demonic arts on the tranquil continent, and the life transformation rotation demonic art was one of them. Moreover, very few people knew about it. Yu Yuan knew about the life transformation rotation demonic art because he had lived 2 lives, because he had once been in close contact with the Devil's Palace, and because he had also thought of using this demonic art to step onto the path of cultivation in his previous life. Unfortunately, the life transformation rotation demonic art wasn't a demonic art that could be learned. With his meridians blocked, he didn't have such hope. However, he knew about the various secrets and profundities of the life transformation rotation demonic art. That's right, I cultivate the life transformation rotation demonic art. Mo Yen no longer denied it, and his expression was gloomy. Then you should also understand how great the harm that I didn't follow the norm and didn't advance step by step means. Breaking through in an instant means that you've lost the possibility of using the life transformation rotation demonic art again due to the destruction of your Een soul. Yu Yuan had an apologetic expression as he clasped his hands and said, "You've seen it yourself. The situation is special. It's not that I'm forcing you." The miraculous part of the life transformation rotation demonic art was that if one failed to complete the first cycle and didn't achieve their goal, they could still continue to cultivate and try again when they condensed their Een soul a second time. Once again, they would have to shatter their Een soul and return to the early stage of the Golden Hall realm. The so-called cycle referred to this principle. However, if he didn't condense his Een soul step by step like Mo Yen, he would never be able to reverse the process. He wouldn't be able to return to the Golden Hall realm with the power to shatter his Een soul after it was condensed. Mo Yen had lost the ability to cycle again. "I know that you're being harassed by the primal chaos Kuan, so I called Chi Nandu to turn around and come help you." Mo Yen took a deep breath. As he controlled the Kiara demonic blade, he adjusted his state of mind and said, "I originally wanted to join forces with you and heavily injure the primal chaos Kuan so that it couldn't take the opportunity to leave this sea. But this is how you repay me? You had a premonition that the blood altar's target had shifted from the primal chaos Kuan to yourself, so you immediately let the starfall eyes leave and enter the crystal bottle we're in to burn the flames of the blood altar onto us. You used our deaths in exchange for a short period of peace for you, and used my forceful breakthrough to buy time for you?" Chi Nandu Chi-een and the others had unfriendly expressions when Mo Yen said these words. Lin Yu and Ho Tianzhao, who had some relationship with Yu Yuan, also had gloomy expressions. Yen Lu also sighed softly, not knowing what to say. Yu Yuan's expression didn't change. He held the fiendish demon cauldron in one hand and the scabbard in the other. I don't care what you think. I only know that only if you no longer hide your strength, only if you quickly condense your own soul and unleash all the power of the Kiara demonic blade, will we have a small chance of surviving at the bottom of the sea. Neither Lu Ying nor Kong Banbai have such an ability in the Starfall Eyes. Since I can't count on them, I can only place my hope on you. After saying this, he looked forward and stared only at the blood altar. He didn't care how others looked at him, what their expressions were, or what they thought. After an awkward silence, everyone's mentality quietly changed. Their gazes gradually moved from him to Mo Yen. If he, who cultivated the life transformation demonic blade, could quickly break through and condense his own soul, then use it to control the Kiara demonic blade, would he really be able to put more pressure on the blood altar? Humans were all selfish. When they felt that Yu Yuan's words made sense, and that only if Mo Yen cut off his path of reincarnation could they turn the situation around, they naturally hoped that Mo Yen would do so. Not to mention, Mo Yen had already broken through from the shattering profound realm to the subtle realm. Since he had broken through, why not be more thorough? Yu Yuan had successfully transferred the pressure from himself to Mo Yen, forcing Mo Yen to quickly condense his own soul and give the blood altar more restrictions and shackles. If I do as you say and instantly condense my own soul to suppress the blood altar, Mo Yen dragged out his voice and turned to look at him, saying, "What about you? You came from the meteor eyes, so let all of us accompany you to face the blood altar and the chaos Kuan together. What can you do for me, for us?" His eyes suddenly turned cold. It was as if Yu Yuan's answer was not good, he would disregard the blood altar and kill Yu Yuan first to vent his anger. From how he commanded Qi Nandu and the others in the crystal glass bottle to massacre Liu Bacon, Luoyi, Tang Can, and the others, it was clear how cruel this person's heart was. He even dared to kill Tang Can, let alone Yu Yuan. Condense your own soul now and suppress the blood altar with all your strength. I will let you know what I can do. Yu Yuan smiled and did not answer him directly. Instead, he said indifferently, "Don't think about doing anything to me now. Right now, you are distracted to deal with the blood altar. You are not my match." Mo Yen, who was in the late stage of the subtle realm and cultivated the life transformation wheel demonic art, had condensed his own soul more than once, was not his match? Even Lin Yu and Ho Tianzhao shook their heads in disagreement. They knew Mo Yan's background and heard about Mo Yan's uniqueness and strength from the elders of their sect. That was why they were willing to listen to Mo Yan when they saw him. Because they knew how strong Mo Yan was, they felt that even if Yu Yuan had just entered the shattering profound realm and gained control of the fiendish demon cauldron, he would not be able to defeat Mo Yen. But after Mo Yen looked deeply at Yu Yuan for a while, he braced himself and nodded. "I will wait for you to prove it." As soon as his voice fell, his countless strands of spiritual consciousness suddenly gathered in the Naiwan acupoint in his upper dantian and began to condense into a Een soul. He entered the Een soul realm in an instant. P.S. Here is a recommendation ticket. If you don't have the habit of hiding it, please keep it on your bookshelf in case you can't find it. Don't you feel that peerless world is getting better? Chapter 466. Demonic mist rose from Mo Yan's eyes. In the depths of his pupils, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Between his eyebrows, the Naiwan acupoint turned into a deep pool of origin, as if it could swallow all living things. It made people's hearts tremble. Gather! With a soft shout, wisps of spiritual consciousness, like thousands of fish, gathered at the acupoint between his eyebrows. Like a big fish swallowing a small fish, the spiritual consciousness condensed into one in a short period of time with a bloody momentum of a cruel competition. A new spirit, endowed by the earth soul, began to transform and rapidly formed. The Een spirit, a breakthrough like Mo Yan's was rarely seen in the world and was breathtaking. In just a moment, in the snap of a finger, he broke through the barrier of the realm that had long ceased to exist. From the late stage of the subtle realm, he condensed the Een spirit. Such a breakthrough was like child's play. But in Mo Yan's view, it was not difficult at all. It was easily achieved like moving clouds and flowing water. It was not the first time he condensed the Een spirit. As someone who cultivated the life transformation demonic art, this was the third time he condensed the Een spirit. The first 2 times, the moment his Een spirit condensed, he did not hesitate for a moment. He directly shattered the Een spirit and instantly returned to the yellow court. Let alone this time? I'll go. Mo Yan's newly condensed Een spirit sprayed out new soul power refined by his spiritual consciousness. After injecting it into the Kiara demonic saber, it instantly came out of the crystal glass bottle. Even Chi Nandu did not have time to react, and did not have time to send him away. This meant that before he released the inner seal of the crystal glass bottle, Mo Yan relied on the demonic saber and his own strength to leave the crystal glass bottle in a way that even he could not sense. The Kiara demonic saber was originally suppressing the blood altar. But after Mo Yan condensed the Een spirit and injected soul power into the demonic saber, the connection between him and the demonic saber was no longer restricted by the crystal glass bottle. It was as if as long as he wanted, the Kiara demonic saber could instantly fall into his hands. Similarly, if he wanted to become one with the Kiara demonic saber, it would only take a thought. Not even the crystal glass bottle could stop it for a second. Everyone saw that after Mo Yan had condensed his Een spirit, he seemed to have broken through the boundaries of space. It was as if he had teleported and appeared directly at the location of the Kiara demonic blade. The angry howls of tens of thousands of demons came from the jagged Gala demon blade, floating above the blood altar. The power that could destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth was released from the Gala demonic blade, causing all the living beings at the bottom of the sea to feel uneasy and fearful. The demonic saber was still and motionless. It gave people a terrifying feeling as if an ancient star had descended from the heavens and was used to suppress everything. At this moment, Mo Yan, who had grown taller, was actually sitting on the body of the Kiara demonic blade. His jet-black hair grew wildly and draped over the blade. Strands of his hair intertwined with the Gala demonic saber like pitch-black veins. Through Mo Yan's hair, his soul awareness and his mind communicated with the soul of the Kiara demonic saber in perfect harmony. His body sitting on the demonic saber was continuously injecting his blood energy and spirit energy into it. The demonic saber's rippling demonic energy reversed the gravitational field and caused the grand and majestic blood altar to sink to the bottom of the sea. No matter how much it struggled, it could not escape the suppression of gravity. Like a toddler learning how to walk, the blood altar suddenly and slowly stood up and attempted to float. Crack, crack! The pure white bones exploded one after another, and multicolored bone powder splattered in all directions. The flesh and blood that had been twisted by the blood altar and plentiful, refined blood flowed into the blood altar like a river. The crimson blood altar was instantly filled with power and abruptly shot upwards. Mo Yan snorted. Sitting on the demonic saber, he suddenly pressed his palms together. It was as if the heavens were collapsing and the stars were falling. An indescribable heavy power that Mo Yan could not possibly possess in his current realm fell from the sky once more. Boom! The blood altar that was about to float away from the bottom of the sea fell heavily on the ground again. The blood altar had smashed the islands of the starry ash sea into ravines, creating an even deeper crater at the bottom of the sea. The seawater crazily poured into the crater and filled every inch of the space at the bottom of the crater. The blood altar sank into the crater and became even more difficult to move. This blood altar is actually being restrained by Mo Yan's Yaluo demonic saber. Chi-in of the Juling school suddenly became excited when she saw the blood altar struggling but unable to leave the bottom of the sea. The otherworldly demon's blood altar is only SOSO. Are we being too cautious and overly worried? Lin Yu and Qi Nanda glanced at her coldly. Ho Tianzhao grinned and laughed strangely. Only SOSO? Sister Qi, you are so naive that you are a little cute. If Mo Yan hadn't forcefully broken through, if he hadn't suppressed it with the Yaluo demonic saber, why don't you try and see if you can shake the blood altar a little? Qi-in snorted. I don't think the blood altar is very powerful. Yu Yuan. Qi Nandu of the Heavenly Evil sect shouted softly. After attracting everyone's attention, he immediately requested, Mo Yan is already doing what he should do. Shouldn't you also go and prove yourself? Everyone looked at him in unison. The blood altar of the Blue Devil race can split into two. Among them, the spirit altar is more deadly while the blood altar is slightly weaker. Yu Yuan seemed to be stalling for time as he explained to everyone, the skin that the blood altar shed earlier can greatly increase its power. The blood altar in front of you right now is not its true power. Don't delay. Qi Nanda yelled. Yu Yuan nodded slightly and said, that blood altar is being restrained by Mo Yan's Yaluo demonic saber. Now, control the crystal bottle and approach that blue shadow, the Chaos Koan. Qi Nandu exclaimed, why not the blood altar? If you want to live, then listen to my orders, Yu Yuan said. Qi Nandu still wanted to argue when he suddenly heard Mo Yan's shout from the Yaluo demonic saber. Listen to him. He only needs to prove himself, no matter what method he uses. Control the crystal bottle, Lin Yu of the Blood God said. Ho Tianzhao nodded at him, indicating for him to be obedient. The reluctant Qi Nandu, under the pressure of Mo Yan, Lin Yu and Ho Tianzhao, had no choice but to control the crystal bottle again, flying towards the blue shadow that had once enveloped the blood altar. Whoosh! The evil demon cauldron, which Yu Yuan had refined with the evil demon body tempering incantation and the extreme wisdom soul tempering incantation, was casually thrown out. The baleful demon cauldron pierced right through the sparkling white ward that enveloped the crystal bottle as if it didn't exist at all. Qi Nanda's face trembled. His expression was not very good. Don't worry. The Fiend Demon Cauldron was once a divine artifact, and the now destroyed Fiend Demon sect was quite close to your Heavenly Evil sect. The two sects communicated and interacted a lot. Yu Yuan laughed softly. The refinement of the crystal bottle and the bone-devouring shuttle also used the Fiend Demon Cauldron as a reference. There is a slight connection between artifacts. The meaning of his words was that the crystal bottle and the bone-devouring shuttle were not as good as the Fiend Demon Cauldron. Moreover, the crystal glass bottle and the bone-devouring shuttle, which he regarded as his most precious treasures, had been refined using the technique of the Fiendish Demon Cauldron. Therefore, the more advanced Fiendish Demon Cauldron could pass through the crystal glass bottle easily. If it was so easy, why did you inform us when you came first? Qi Nandu said unhappily. Yu Yuan replied, I was afraid that if I barged into the crystal bottle without informing you, you would mistakenly think that I was going to commit murder and attack me together. Nandu, he's right. Your Heavenly Evil sect and the vanished Fiend Demon sect were originally close to each other. Ho Tianzhao interrupted. To put it more bluntly, when the Fiend Demon sect was at its peak, your Heavenly Evil sect was just their little brother. Your sect refuses to admit this kind of thing now. Your master and the others naturally won't say anything. Lin Yu also nodded. I've also heard of this saying. I also heard that many of the heavenly evil sect's territories now belonged to the destroyed fiend demon sect. The heavenly evil sect was only able to rise when the fiend demon sect was destroyed. The place is only so big and can't support too many cultivators. As long as the fiend demon sect still exists, the heavenly evil sect cannot grow and can only continue to be obedient. Ho Tianzhao bared his teeth and winked at Qi Nandu. Don't be discouraged. Haven't you developed now? The expressions of the people from the Devil's Palace and the Juling School became strange because of Ho Tianzhao's words and Lin Yu's addition. The current heavenly evil sect was only the fiend demon sect's little brother back then and was led by the fiend demon sect? I don't believe it, Qi Nandu said angrily. Believe it or not, it's the truth, Mo Yen also said from afar, which had the effect of making the final decision. Originally, you wanted to pierce through the deep blue serene curtain, but now you have to enter the shadow and target the chaos koan, Yu Yuan said. Remember, this is the most powerful attack of the bone-devouring shuttle and the crystal glass bottle. Don't hold back and don't hide your strength. What? This time, not only Qi Nandu but also Qi Yin and Ho Tianzhao screamed. Just one attack. Yu Yuan took a deep breath. When the crystal bottle and the bone-devouring shuttle attack falls into the shadow, I will guide it so that it can always lock on to the target. Send me out. As soon as his voice fell, he suddenly activated the fiend demon body refining art. Relying on the mysterious connection between him and the fiend demon cauldron, he took the initiative to fly towards the blue shadow. The light curtain opened, and he abruptly passed through it without hesitation. With his cultivation base that had just entered the shattering profound realm, he took the initiative to step into the blue shadow. Was he going to fight the chaos koan in the skin shed by the blood altar? He went in just like that? Lin Yu was surprised. Other things aside, this guy really has guts. Sure C of the Devil's Palace clenched her fist and waved it hard. I kind of like him now. He's even more thorough than Mo Yen. He's taking the risk and rushing in directly. Hu Tianyang curled his lips. I think he's trying to be a hero. He knows that he's going to die anyway, so he might as well die bravely and heroically. He said to throw the combined attack of the crystal bottle and the bone-devouring shuttle inside. Lin Yu's expression was grim. His eyes were bloodshot as he glared at Qi Nandu. Please do as he says. Chapter 467. At the bottom of the sea, the falling star eyes flashed like lightning. The stellar stones embedded in the silvery white meteorites exploded into dust at the tail of the falling star eyes after exhausting their star energy. There weren't many rare and precious star stones left. Because of the existence of the deep blue serene curtain and the fact that they were at the bottom of the sea, the meteor-fall star eyes could not absorb the starlight energy from the stars in the sky and accumulate new power for this artifact. If they continued to wander around aimlessly for a long time, they would eventually run out of star energy. At that time, even a miraculous artifact like the falling star eyes would be reduced to a decoration. It couldn't carry living beings, couldn't fly, and couldn't sense its surroundings. Why do we have to leave? Su Yen of the Taiyuan sect stood in front of Lu Ying, her beautiful eyes filled with suspicion. I know what Yu Yuan said to you, but I feel that we should go with him no matter what. The survivors like Du Huang and the ancient Desolate sect, who were also in the falling star eyes, were silent. All they thought about was themselves. Before the falling star eyes and the crystal bottle moved further and further away, Lu Ying used her divine ability to let them see as seen. The blood altar temporarily abandoned the chaos koan and rushed out of the blue shadow towards the crystal bottle, or more accurately, towards Yu Yuan. They all saw this scene clearly. Du Huang and the people from the ancient Desolate sect and the Sword sect secretly rejoiced. They rejoiced that Yu Yuan had left the falling star eyes at the critical moment and entered the crystal bottle, transferring the huge trouble that was the blood altar to the crystal bottle and the evil spirits of the tranquil continent. Not them. At this moment, Su Yen jumped out and exposed this matter. This was the first time she showed dissatisfaction with Lu Ying, which made Du Huang and the others feel disgusted. They felt that her actions were unnecessary. No matter what reason Yu Yuan had for going from the falling star eyes to the crystal bottle, they were the beneficiaries. At the very least, they didn't have to face the blood altar and the chaos koan immediately. The primal chaos koan's transformation from a strange fish into a skinny old man had frightened them out of their wit. They didn't want to face it anymore. The primal chaos koan was already so terrifying that it could commit crimes everywhere. Wouldn't the blood altar that was wreaking havoc at the bottom of the sea be even more terrifying? I naturally have my reasons for leaving. Lu Ying was already unhappy, so when she saw Su Yen standing up to question her, her face turned cold. She looked at Su Yen from head to toe, pouted, and said provocatively, "If you're not satisfied, you can go down now and look for him later." Hearing her words, Su Yen, whose chest was heaving up and down, was speechless for a moment. It was not as fast as the meteor fall star eyes, nor was it strong enough. Even if one did not have the meteor fall star eyes, they might lose their sense of direction in the sea. Under such circumstances, even if she wanted to go back, it would be useless. "Lu Ying, I also know what Yu Yuan said to you." Kong Banbai stood up and said with a sincere attitude, "I won't ask for the reason. I just want to know what we can do to help him." "That's more like it." Lu Ying nodded slightly, and had a higher opinion of Kong Banbai. "You are indeed the leader of the sword sect. You know what to say at the right time." She then added, "Unlike some people." Su Yan's expression became even uglier. Kong Banbai and Du Huang looked at each other, not daring to say anything. None of them had expected that the two women, who had some sort of relationship with Yu Yuan, would suddenly go against each other right after they left Yu Yuan. When Yu Yuan was in the meteor fall star eyes, the two of them were at peace and seemed to be in harmony. "For the time being, we don't need to rely on your strength." Lu Ying was not aggressive. "I also know that when he is in danger and is targeted by the blood altar, we shouldn't be so disloyal. However, the meteor fall star eyes left under his guidance. He pointed us in a direction, and asked us to break the deep blue serene curtain with the strongest power of the meteor fall star eyes when we arrived there." Kong Banbai was surprised. "Are you telling us to escape?" He had thought that Yu Yuan would make some special arrangement. However, from what Lu Ying said, it seemed that they were going to find a place to break the deep blue serene curtain with the meteor fall star eyes and escape from the Stardust Sea. "You can think of it that way." Lu Ying did not explain further. He only said that the deep blue serene curtain is still enveloping the sea, and he can't bring out the strongest power of the scabbard. According to him, as long as the deep blue serene curtain is broken, as long as there is a crack, he will be able to find new power for the scabbard. Is it because he loves you and doesn't want you to die, so he purposely came up with such an excuse to let you leave alive? The ancient Baron Sex Du Huang twirled her hair in a ponytail. She first looked at Lu Ying, then at Su Yen in a roguish manner. "That guy Yu Yuan really has a lot of luck with women. First, he has Lin Zhuyun as his fiancée, and then he flirts with you too. Romantic." He raised his other hand and pointed his thumb at the tail of the meteor fall star eyes, as if he was saying to Yu Yuan, "For the sake of the woman he loves, he is willing to die bravely. If I were a woman, I would fall in love with him too." The way he shook his head was rather comical. "It's great that I'm in the meteor fall star eyes, and not in the crystal glass bottle. When I think of Mo Yen, Lin Yu, Qi Nandu, and the others watching the blood altar whizzing towards me, I feel great." "Shut your damn mouth," Lu Ying said angrily. "Okay." Du Huang obediently shut his mouth. After being ridiculed by him, Everyone looked at Lu Ying and Su Yan with thoughtful looks. Su Yan's face reddened for no reason. She glared at Du Huang and scolded, "Nothing good comes out of a dog's mouth." Du Huang's words made it seem like she and Lu Ying were jealous because of Yu Yuan. This made her feel embarrassed and uneasy. She secretly glanced at Lu Ying and saw that the proud daughter of Star Luna sect had an unnatural expression just like her. Could it be? Su Yan's mind rippled. She was shocked by the thought that suddenly appeared in her mind. Channeling the fiend body refining art, Yu Yuan flew out of the crystal glass bottle and fell into the blue shadow. The moment he entered, Yu Yuan was drowned by a foul stench. Inside, a person's 5 senses would be disordered, their soul consciousness would be muddled, their qi and blood would surge violently, and they would feel dizzy and powerless. Countless unknown energy and qi dregs would spontaneously seep into their bodies. The blue shadow wasn't a real shadow. Instead, it was like a swamp. Once inside, it was like being in a swamp. The various energies contained in the swamp corroded one's soul and flesh. The usage of the fiendish body refinement art had once again increased this process, causing him to almost have his body instantly explode from the energy that surged over when he had just entered. Fortunately, he practiced body refining, which was one of the top 3 body refining incantations among the countless sects in the Howren heaven and earth. Thanks to his experience in the forbidden land of the fallen moons, he knew the uniqueness of the fiend body refining art. That was why he dared to take the risk and release the fiend demon cauldron first. He sensed with rapt attention, and sensed that the aura of supernatural powers in the swamp-like blue shadow was even more abundant than in the forbidden land of the fallen moons. The feeling he got from it was even more violent than when he had refined his body with the power within the fiend demon cauldron. Previously, when he had been in the fiend demon cauldron, he had only seen a few dozen streaks of supernatural power, and they had been powerful enough to kill gods and soul-wandering cultivators. However, there were at least 100 streaks of supernatural power hidden in the blue shadow, and he had a feeling that they were powerful enough to kill young gods. Some of those streaks of supernatural power were the flesh auras of different outsider races, some were the soul strands of human grand cultivators, some were the bone powder of demons, some were the pearls that had settled at the bottom of the sea and contained the essence of water power, and some were the refined gold at the bottom of the sea. Yu Yuan sucked in a breath of cold air, as he felt that his body was about to explode from the impact of those streaks of supernatural power. Crack, 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 crack. His feeling wasn't wrong. Many of his fragile bones had actually been shattered and shattered. Come here, come here. He summoned the fiend demon cauldron with his psychic awareness and communicated with its soul. The fiend demon cauldron was the first to enter the blue shadow. Without the blood altar, the fiend demon cauldron should be able to gather more power with its miraculous abilities. In a split second, he sensed the existence of the fiend demon cauldron and its soul. Immediately afterwards, the cauldron's soul transmitted its knowledge of the blue shadow to him, telling him what it was. Qin Lai's eyes lit up as he accepted the knowledge imprinted by the cauldron's soul and gradually sorted it out. The blue shadow could be seen as the base of the entire blood spirit altar, or it could be seen as a blood membrane of the blood altar. The blood spirit altar could only devour soul energy, remove the dregs, and extract the essence, leaving behind the purest soul energy. This way, the Blue Devil clansmen wouldn't need to undergo a second refinement before they could merge their soul energy into the blood spirit altar and instantly recover and strengthen themselves. The blood altar was more or less the same way, extracting flesh and blood energy and keeping the essence. The base of the blood spirit altar was this blue shadow, which was also known as the turbid demon fetus. Turbid referred to the dark and dirty place. The fetus was the platform that supported the blood spirit altar. The turbid demon fetus existence was to contain the dregs that the blood altar and the blood spirit altar had discarded or couldn't refine. There were also all kinds of supernatural power streaks and corpses that the blood altar and the blood spirit altar had discarded or couldn't refine. Impurities, rebellious, poisonous, and clashing with the otherworldly devils would all be thrown into the turbid demon fetus. The blood spirit altar controlled the turbid demon fetus power, and it could be used as a killing move to attack enemies. For example, the turbid demon fetus, which had turned into a blue shadow that looked like a swamp, had drowned the Chaos Koan and prevented it from breaking free. The blue devil race might have thought that the turbid demon fetus, which they could control, could corrode the flesh and blood of some living beings, was a powerful offensive move. In reality, the turbid demon fetus had a powerful restraining effect on humans and monsters in the outer realms. This was especially true for the cultivators of the Tianyuan continent who needed spirit energy, blood, and soul energy. Once they fell into the turbid demon fetus, they would be corroded by the dregs of the turbid demon fetus and be severely injured or even killed. Demonic cultivators were slightly better off. They could resist for a longer time, but they couldn't endure it for a long time. In the long history of the outer realms, there had been cases where the turbid demon fetus couldn't do anything to them. Unfortunately, they hadn't been able to shine for long in the outer realms before they had disappeared. They had died in a civil war. This was a cultivator of the fiend demon sect. A demonic cultivator who cultivated the fiend demon body tempering art. Chapter 468. The turbid devil fetus, which was originally the base of the blood spirit altar, was a great weapon against humans and demons. It could corrode flesh and souls. By relying on the turbid devil fetus, the extraterrestrial devils were able to trap many powerful cultivators in the depths of the Starry River. However, when encountering a devil cultivator who cultivated the fiend body refinement technique, the turbid devil fetus would not be of much use. One of the major characteristics of the fiendish body refinement art was that it could cleanse the body and strengthen the bones and meridians with all kinds of violent, disorderly, and poisonous energies. The harsher the environment, the more beneficial it was for the cultivation of the fiend refinement art, and the better the effects. Unfortunately, the fiend demon sect was destroyed too early. Before they could establish themselves in outer space, the sect was destroyed in the Civil War. All the disciples were killed, and the demonic arts were burned. Even the fiend demon cauldron, the sect's most treasured treasure, fell into the bottom of the Stardust Sea and did not appear for many years. Crack! Chi-chi! His bones, which were not tough enough, were shattered, and his tendons and veins were torn apart. Nearly 100 strange forces surged into his body, but they didn't cause him to explode in an instant. While the fiend body refinement art was circulating, it helped him to slowly drain the flow and prevent more foreign forces from seeping into his body. A small amount of it washed through his bones and tendons. However, even if it was a small amount, it was still relative. The flowing light of the supernatural power inside the turbid demonic fetus was so powerful that even a small amount of it had entered his body through the evil fiend body refining art was enough to make him roar in pain. Howl! Heaven-shaking, earth-shaking roars burst out of the turbid devil fetus, so loud that even the seawater couldn't cover them. As the power of the deep blue curtain descended from above and entered the demonic embryo, it seemed to have its own soul awareness as it sought out the primal Chaos Koan and sealed it. The primal Chaos Koan was the turbid devil fetus' primary target. The blood altar's primary target was Yu Yuan. However, halfway through, Mo Yen, who had forcefully broken through and condensed his Yin spirit, used the Kiera demonic saber to temporarily suppress him to the bottom of the sea with an unimaginable gravitational field. Since the blood altar and the turbid demon fetus were separated, their power could not be maximized. Isn't it about time to start? Inside the crystal bottle, Lin Yu of the Blood God stared at Chi Nandu with bloodshot eyes and urged him again. The others also looked at him. Yu Yuan entered the deadly blue shadow. Before he left, he asked Chi Nandu to shoot the strongest attack of the crystal glass bottle and the bone-devouring shuttle into it. He made it clear that he would guide the attack from the inside and guide it to its target. Now that Yu Yuan had entered the blue shadow, Chi Nandu should naturally do his best to give him a fatal blow. Wait a moment. Chi Nandu, who had the appearance of a man and the demeanor of a woman, concentrated on examining the blue shadow and said, "He doesn't seem to be ready yet." Lin Yu's face turned cold. "You didn't do it on purpose, did you?" Chi Nandu felt very wronged. "No, he really isn't ready yet. I can sense from the crystal bottle that he hasn't met the fiendish demon cauldron yet." The strange energy inside the turbid demon fetus was very strange and chaotic. It couldn't be seen clearly with the eyes. Those who had cultivated to the subtle realm didn't even dare to use their spiritual senses to enter. Under these circumstances, it was difficult to distinguish whether Chi Nandu's words were true or false. "I also want to live, and I believe in Mo Yen." Chi Nandu's face was bitter. "He is approaching the fiendish demon cauldron. When the two become one, I won't be able to cast the spell." "All right." Lin Yu didn't urge him anymore. Everyone in the crystal glass bottle was waiting in silence, waiting for the turbid devil fetus to change. After a while, whoosh! The fiendish demon cauldron, which had sunk into the turbid demon fetus first, suddenly became clear inside. A small area of the turbid devil fetus that looked like a muddy swamp suddenly brightened up. That area was where the fiendish demon cauldron was. Over there. Ho Tianzhao of the Red Devil School suddenly became excited. He pointed to another area that was quickly becoming clear. "It's Yu Yuan. Yu Yuan is inside, close to the fiendish demon cauldron." Everyone looked carefully and found that the area where Yu Yuan and the fiendish demon cauldron were, which had been invisible no matter how hard they tried, was gradually becoming clear. It was like the muddy water of a lake that was being purified, taking away the filth. The fiendish body-tempering art. Fei Yi of the Devil's Palace took a deep breath and said, "The fiendish body-tempering art can absorb all kinds of strange energy in the world and use it to temper the body. Yu Yuan is cultivating the fiendish body-tempering art now, which is why the blue shadow is gradually becoming clear." He didn't know the secrets of the turbid demon fetus, but he knew the cultivation method of the fiendish body-tempering art. Why is the fiendish body-tempering art able to purify the blue shadow? Chi Yin of the Juling School suddenly trembled and exclaimed, "I can feel that the blue shadow is filled with all kinds of strange energy, filthy poison, and power that can corrode the soul. Even with the secret arts of the Juling School, I can only feel it, but I don't dare to go and collect it." The Juling School can only collect and refine the filthy energy, Fei Yi explained. The incantations of the Juling School are useless against chaotic soul power, flesh aura, and strange energy from the bottom of the sea. Fei Yi explained, however, the fiend body tempering art allows you to absorb all of it and use it to temper your body. After a pause, Fei Yi continued, Yu Yuan has just entered the profound breaker realm and needs to temper his body repeatedly. Everyone was in an uproar. What do you mean? Ho Tianzhao was dumbfounded. Did Yu Yuan enter that damned place to cultivate? That can't be right. What time is this? How can he have the leisure to cultivate in there? Mo Yen may not be able to hold on for long. Cultivate? He's cultivating in there. Chi Nandu almost cursed. Behind the crystal glass bottle, Mo Yen sat on top of the Kiara demonic saber, with his hair draped over the saber like a waterfall. Feeling the loss of flesh aura, soul power, and spirit power, his face darkened. He's not cultivating on purpose. Fei Yi looked again and said, Don't misunderstand. He's just using the fiendish body tempering art to purify the filthy energy around him and temper his body. However, he's really extraordinary to be able to survive and move around in there. Is that shadow very powerful? Shirsi whispered. Fei Yi nodded. If there's no way to dissolve the filthy energy like Yu Yuan, the sun spirit will probably die if it corrodes the flesh and soul crazily. Ah! Qi Nandu was shocked. Qi Yin chimed in, you're right, the filthy energy inside is incomparably terrifying. The sun spirit won't be able to hold on for long if it corrodes it. Unless one's body is different from an ordinary person's and can accommodate the violent and disorderly energy, only then can one withstand it. He's become one with the fiendish demon cauldron, Lin Yu shouted. The people who were talking were shocked and immediately looked over. They saw that the two areas where Yu Yuan and the fiendish demon cauldron were purifying in the depths of the turbid demon fetus. Yu Yuan jumped and landed on the fiendish demon cauldron. The mouth of the fiendish demon cauldron was facing upward, steadily swallowing him. The fiendish demon cauldron shrank and then shrank, as if it was adjusting itself. It adjusted itself to the most suitable state for Yu Yuan at the moment. In just a few seconds, the fiendish demon cauldron stopped changing. Yu Yuan stood in the fiendish demon cauldron with both hands, as if he was standing in a big bathtub in a lake. He was separated by the turbid demon fetus, but he still had the leisure to grin at everyone. He can see us? Shirsi said in surprise. Nonsense. Fei Yi snorted. If we can see him, he can naturally see us. That blue shadow was a mixture of many strange abilities, and not some blue light. He and the fiendish demon cauldron are purifying a small space, like an internal light, allowing us to see him. Saying this, he said to Qi Nandu, you should have a target now, right? I'll try. Qi Nandu braced himself and agreed. However, just as he was about to use his mind to activate the power link between the crystal bottle and the bone-devouring shuttle, he saw Yu Yuan shake his head at him from inside the fiendish demon cauldron. His lips wriggled and he said, wait a little longer. Qi Nandu instantly stopped. Yu Yuan continued to perform the fiendish demon body refining art inside the fiendish demon cauldron. With the help of the cauldron, he began to attack the turbid demon fetus in a terrifying manner. With him and the fiendish demon cauldron as the center, the filthy and turbid place that should not have appeared was rapidly becoming clear. When he and the fiendish demon cauldron combined, the speed at which the two purified space increased by several times. A large area of clear space inside the turbid demon fetus gradually became clear. There's still one more chapter. Give me a recommendation ticket, a monthly ticket, or something to encourage me. Chapter 469. Inside the cauldron, Yu Yuan sensed the changes in the turbid demon fetus, and became excited. The combination of the fiendish body tempering art and the fiendish demon cauldron immediately revealed the wonders of the cauldron. His body and the profound gate in his middle dantian acted as a medium for the fiendish body tempering art to pull in the many streams of strange energy in the depths of the turbid demon fetus. Most of those energies were attracted by the fiendish body tempering art and poured into the cauldron. Before entering the cauldron, he had always been a bit nervous. He was afraid that if he couldn't control the vast amount of energy, it would crush him and cause his flesh to explode. The energy contained in the turbid demon fetus was so powerful that when he activated the fiendish body tempering art, he only absorbed a small amount of it, but his bones were already breaking, his meridians were bursting, and his organs were burning with pain. And this was when he activated the fiendish body tempering art at full power, which just so happened to be able to deal with the turbid demon fetus. He was worried that if he wasn't careful enough, his body would explode because of the vast amount of energy. However, as soon as he entered the fiendish demon cauldron, he found that his previous worries were nothing to be afraid of. The cauldron helped him consume 99% of the energy impurities. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Seeing the colorful streams of energy, the cold flames, and the green venom pouring into the fiendish demon cauldron from all directions and disappearing, he instantly calmed down. He suddenly realized why the Devil's Palace had brought the fiendish demon cauldron to the starry ash sea with the blood spirit altar. Although the fiendish demon sect had been destroyed, this divine artifact could actually suppress the blood spirit altar in some ways. The fiendish demon cauldron could directly absorb the various streams of energy, toxins, and impurities contained in the turbid demon fetus that supported the blood spirit altar. He even had a feeling that the energy he had used to break through inside the fiendish demon cauldron and open his 8 meridians might have been obtained from the turbid demon fetus. The fiendish demon cauldron could absorb and use the impurities that couldn't be removed from the blood spirit altar and the blood altar. Normal cultivators would not be able to make use of the violent and chaotic energies. Even the Devil's Palace, the Goblin Temple, the Blood God, and the Dueling School could not absorb the strange energy and merge it with their bodies to strengthen their realms and physique. However, the Fiend Body Refinement art was a unique demonic art that could be used to strengthen one's cultivation. Yu Yuan could clearly sense that all kinds of strange and dangerous energies were pouring into his body, destroying his weak meridians and bones. He was refining refined flesh and blood from the profound men acupoints in his middle dantian to reforge his bones and flesh. First destroy, then repair, and become even more powerful. This was the essence of the fiendish body tempering art. The destructive process, which caused him so much pain that he wished he was dead, came so fiercely. It made him feel pain, but it also made him happy. He knew that as long as he clenched his teeth and persevered, the toughness of his body in the shattering profound realm would be beyond his imagination. He also knew that the longer he used the fiend demon cauldron to devour the flowing light of the turbid demon fetus, the greater the benefits he would gain in the future. The flowing light of the fiend demon cauldron would be hidden in it and help him with his future cultivation. Therefore, before the primal chaos koan targeted him and came to find him, he asked Chi Nandu to wait for a while. While he waited, the primal chaos koan's flesh and blood would continue to be eroded by the flowing light of the turbid demon fetus, reducing its strength. The only thing he was worried about was whether Mo Yen could hold on. Also, did Lu Ying break the weak deep blue curtain with the location given by the cauldron soul as she said she would? Did she do as she said? Did she allow him to establish a connection with the soul refining pool and the small underground space in the forbidden land of Fallen Moon? As long as he could establish a connection with the soul refining pool and the space at the bottom of the pool, he would have extra soul power to use. Only then would he be able to maximize his power with the fiend demon cauldron and the scabbard. Boom! The blood altar, which had sunk into the deep pit, once again soared into the sky, accompanied by splashes of crimson blood. Sitting on the Kiara demonic blade, Mo Yan's expression was ferocious. The corners of his eyes were cracked, and strands of black blood slid down his cheeks, as if he had been poisoned. The jagged demonic blade seemed to be moaning and wailing, as if the blade's soul was enduring pain. Fine bloodstains gradually appeared on Mo Heng's neck, where blue veins were bulging. Judging from his posture, it was becoming more and more difficult for him to suppress the blood altar with the Kiara demonic blade. From time to time, a drop of blackish-purple demonic blood would seep out of the meridian between his eyebrows. The demonic blood was sparkling and translucent. Like an eye, it looked towards Yu Yuan. Panting heavily, flames of anger wreathed his eyes. He howled in the sea, "How much longer?" "Soon. Wait a little longer." Standing in the fiend demon cauldron, Yu Yuan heard his howls and immediately responded, "I'll find the primal chaos koan right away. Hold on a little longer. Give me a little more time. The blood altar and this damn thing can't be combined." You should be aware of this. 15 minutes, Mo Yen said sternly. 15 minutes at most. Yu Yuan nodded. All right. Splash. At this moment, the shriveled corpse of an old woman, dressed in colorful clothes, fell from the surface of the sea. The corpse passed through the deep blue curtain and floated towards the crystal bottle. Granny Lu! The men and women of the jeweling school couldn't help but shout when they saw the corpse, which was wearing clothes similar to Qi Yin's. Qi Yin didn't look sad at all. Instead, she said with disgust, "Why did she only die now? If it were her, I would have thought she would have died long ago." She seemed to be disgusted by Granny Lu, who was also a disciple of the jeweling school. Her clothes and incantations were of the same origin as hers. Boom! The corpse landed on the crystalline bottle's white curtain of light and bounced up along with the seawater. On the branded corpse there were also a few bottles and jars hanging from it. The bottle stoppers loosened from the shock. Suddenly, a dark green flame ignited above the crystalline bottle. With crackling sounds, the white curtain of light that separated everyone from the seawater instantly ignited into a raging flame. The dark green flame, which carried a bone-piercing cold aura, actually fell into the bottle. Everyone turned pale with fright. They didn't know why such a change would happen at this moment. As the figures dodged, they were also looking at Qi Yin. Qi Yin also dodged and screamed, "Don't look at me! I don't know what that old bastard is collecting and refining in those bottles and jars. Anyway, just don't touch it." Everyone avoided the dark green flame, which exuded a cold aura, lest they attract fire to themselves. Only Lin Zhuyun, whose heart was as dead as ash, sat there motionlessly with her head lowered. The dark green flame then rushed towards her. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped her and burned even more fiercely. "Leave!" Qi Nanda's expression changed greatly. He noticed that after the light curtain formed by the crystalline bottle was ignited by the dark green flame, the light curtain's power was dissipated and the flame's momentum increased. He shouted loudly, and all the light curtain released by the crystalline bottle was sucked back into the bottle. Those who were originally in the crystalline bottle were immediately exposed to the seawater. One by one, they summoned a light curtain of spirit energy and surrounded themselves as they looked at Lin Zhuyun in shock. In the seawater, Lin Zhuyun, who was burning with the dark green flame, still had not lost a single strand of hair, and was still floating in the flame. After the crystal glass bottle left, Lin Zhuyun, who was still sitting upright, slowly stood up as the dark green flames burned fiercely. The flame raged, but there was no change in her inside. There was no expression of pain, and she wasn't burned to death. Instead, the burning made her even colder. Qi. With a flick of her 10 fingers, 10 dark green lightning bolts flew past and hit the survivors of the jeweling school and the blood god. Just like her, the 10 of them were instantly set ablaze. The flames were also dark green and bone-piercing cold. However, the 10 people who were burning were in so much pain that they wished they were dead. They screamed miserably as their flesh and blood were charred black like charcoal. Across the seawater, Lin Zhuyun looked at Qi Yin. Her eyes had completely turned dark green. Like those flames, they were filled with a cold and eerie feeling. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.